This is Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia, South Carolina, the home of the Gamecocks and the place to be for more than 72,000 fans to watch South Carolina take on the invading Hurricanes, ranked third in the nation, led by Heisman candidate Vinny Testaverde. This is the coveted Heisman Trophy, the symbol of the best in college football. To win it, a player needs great skills, a great team, and luck. Miami's Vinny Testaverde was a virtual unknown at the start of last season, but had such a great year he finished 5th in the Heisman voting as a junior. His numbers were awesome, with 21 touchdowns, more than 3,200 yards passing, and 61.4% completions. He was at his best against the best. Another season like that, a big year for the Hurricanes, and the Breaks and the Heisman dream could come true.
You know, it's always been a dream of mine ever since I was a little kid to be a Heisman Trophy winner. You know, now I have the chance to follow up on that dream, and hopefully at the end of the season that'll come true for me.
The quest for the Heisman begins tonight with Miami at South Carolina. It is unseasonably cool and rainy in Columbia, South Carolina. 64 degrees. The winds out of the north from 10 to 15 miles an hour. Hardly seems like August in South Carolina. Good evening, everybody. I'm Mike Patrick, and it's a pleasure to have you with us on ESPN for CFA football. And what a way to start it off. We have 2 games in 3 days. Monday night, we'll be in Pittsburgh for Maryland against Pitt. And, of course, here tonight in Columbia, South Carolina, third-ranked Miami against South Carolina. It's going to be a pleasure to work with former Bengals quarterback, or should have been a quarterback, former Bengals punter and wide receiver Pat McInally. And Pat, Miami comes in here tonight just loaded with talent.
Well, not only talent, Mike, they've got experience and they're hungry. They want to erase last year's loss in the Sugar Bowl to Tennessee. They want to take this year's national championship, and they need a big win tonight.
Of course, their most visible player is their quarterback, Vinny Testaverde.
Well, the thing about Testaverde, a quarterback, is he's such a physical specimen. He's 6'5", 220 pounds. He can jump 30 inches in the air. He bench presses 325 pounds, squats 500 pounds. He's a stud.
Of course, with all his stats, you take a look at the other side, and South Carolina has Todd Ellis, potentially a great quarterback who has never taken a snap.
Well, he is inexperienced, but he led his high school team to 3 straight state titles with the run and shoot. I think he can do it. The question is, can he do it against Miami in his college debut?
Now, they've installed a run and shoot offense here to take advantage of his skills as well as the other skill players.
Well, I think it's a great move by Coach Joe Morrison. I think he looked at his personnel. He has a lot of great wide receivers. He has a quarterback that ran the offense in high school. He's a little outmanned against some of these big teams like Nebraska, Miami. I think he's got to do what he needs to do to win, and this is it.
It's also going to be a pleasure for us to be working with Tim Brando. He'll be down on the sidelines having a different perspective. And, Tim, what does it look like down there right now?
Right now, Mike, it's a rainy perspective that we have for this first CFA game. The rain could be a factor for the run and shoot, but let's not forget the noise factor. You see these fans behind me, the South Carolina fans, they make a lot of noise. They've got quite a reputation. Vinny Testaverde had a number of problems by calling those audibles and checkoffs against Tennessee in the Superdome in last year's Sugar Bowl. Over 50% of that offense is checkoff oriented, so Vinny could have problems in our first game here on ESPN.
ESPN's coverage of the CFA is being brought to you by Metropolitan Life and affiliated companies. Get Met, it pays. By Kentucky Fried Chicken, we do chicken right. By Budweiser, Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. And by the Glass Packaging Institute, the people who make glass containers naturally.
There they are. They love their Gamecocks here in Columbia, South Carolina. Williams-Brice Stadium is where we're located. I'm Tim Brando, and we have a great football game, we think, coming up for you here tonight in Columbia. Now, you've already met Pat McInally, our analyst, and Mike Patrick will call the action. I'll keep you updated on the perspective from down here, located on the sidelines. Bino Cook, along with Larry Burnett, will keep us posted on other games across the country. Right now, let's go back to them in our studios. I think we've got the best seats here, Bino. We don't have to be out in the rain at all. Bino and I are going to be holding down the fort here in the studio, keeping track of tonight's games, updating them for you as we get scores into our studio. A lot of good games tonight. Number 11, Florida State in action against Toledo. Kansas State playing Western Illinois. And Tulsa's at Louisiana Tech. The big game, though, tonight is in Columbia, South Carolina. Miami against those Gamecocks. Who do you like?
Well, I think Testaverde will have a great game. And I think he's a heck of a player. I think it's going to be close. Final, Miami 23, South Carolina 20. That's the score I came up with yesterday. Going to stick with it, maybe with the rain, 13-10 Miami. Game will be decided by a field goal.
Who will be affected most by the rain?
Well, I think definitely both teams will be, because apparently South Carolina's going to throw the ball a lot. I think it's going to be a factor. But the game won't last for 6.5 hours, because it had been a dry field. Both teams would have thrown 8,000 passes.
Now, you said on our preview show that Testaverde, with a good showing tonight, could really set himself up for the Heisman. You still feel that way?
Yeah, well, I think if he has the great game, and I think he will be the leader. But I still think it's going to be Harbaugh from Michigan eventually, because I think Michigan will have a great year.
What about this run and shoot we keep hearing about? Is it an offense you can win with and go somewhere?
Well, I've always thought it was in basketball, but apparently it's Morrison having it at South Carolina. South Carolina has athletes, and they could pull an upset here. It won't shock me. Today, for instance, Hawaii on the road almost beat Air Force.
All right, we're going to talk about that at halftime. Let's now go back to Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia, South Carolina. Mike Patrick, Pat McAnally standing by for more action live from Columbia. Gentlemen.
Larry, thank you very much. And Pat, what do you think about Bino's prediction?
I love the way Bino sticks his neck out. But I tell you, I think it's a case of intangibles versus tangibles. South Carolina has some intangibles. They have a crowd on their side. They have the mystery offense with an unknown quarterback. But Miami's got all the tangibles. They're bigger, they're stronger, they're more experienced. I don't know, Bino. I think I like the tangibles.
All right, and we'll be back to find out more about both of the defenses on Miami and South Carolina and all the action from Columbia right after this.
Back, everyone. Now, we've told you Jim Morrison has devised a run and shoot offense for this football game. He's trying to cause some confusion for Miami. Now, believe me when I tell you, he thinks that this offense is going to be the key to the big difference in his offense, particularly in this game against the Miami Hurricanes, because they realize they have to come up with some confusion. Jim Morrison has that confusion to give this man, Jimmy Johnson, something extra to think about.
We have been practicing against certain aspects of the run and shoot, and we have been really in the dark as far as what South Carolina is going to do. And, you know, defense is reaction, so we want to make sure that we show them what they're going to see so that they can react to it. And if we have been practicing the wrong thing because we didn't see South Carolina in the run and shoot a year ago, then all that work is thrown out the window. I am concerned about watching us practice and not practice against what I'm sure they're going to do.
Now, outside backers, we get this release. Right now, you are not sure if it's pass or run. Don't be over-aggressive on the run. We got somebody for the dive, we got the quarterback, and we got the pitch handle. The first time you come up here and you're over-aggressive, the quarterback's going to pull the ball out and throw the ball to the slot man and give us a big play. Big plays to the slot guys. Keep in mind, these were both wide receivers last year. Now they're playing the slot. Good hands, great speed.
I think as a secondary unit, I think we're going to have to be disciplined in order to maintain our jobs and to stay in our particular areas. I think it's going to be very important that we stay in our drops, and each guy has to take care of his own responsibility.
First thought with trips motion is pass. Okay, we'll either slide or we'll roll up to the trip side. Now, backside people, we have to be disciplined, because the minute that they make the adjustment to see how we're going to go to trips, they're going to come back either with the draw, weak side, they're going to come back with the speed option, weak side, or the trap. So we cannot fall asleep when the guys go to trips and we roll everything over. Backside people, it's very, very important that we stay at home and play our responsibility.
South Carolina defensively must not only be concerned with the effectiveness of Testaverde, but also a balanced attack with a great deal of depth at running back, and Morrison's aware of that.
Well, I think number one, when you mentioned balance, they do have good balance. You know, everyone thinks of having a Heisman Trophy candidate in Benny Testaverde that they're going to come out and they're going to throw. But they have an excellent back in Highsmith that has great ability of running the football, and they do have a balanced attack.
This game's going to come down to 11 individuals winning the individual battle. If we don't get some pass rush pressure out of you people up front, we're going to have a tough time getting them in situations that we want to have them in. You people here are going to have to read the play-action pass, get yourself back into your drops. You're going to have to be able to fill on the running game and give us some support up there and keep those people where they can't just move the football on the ground. You people here got a big challenge. They got two great receivers. You're going to have to be able to match up with them in man-to-man at times. And when you got that deep third coverage, you got to stay back there and read all the receivers coming through your zone. You people got to give us some support in the run, and you got to play smart in the pass. Give us a good disguise. Don't let them know what coverage you're going to be in from time to time.
Chalk talk is fine, and Joe Morrison obviously has done a great deal of chalk talk. But now it's time for all of that chalk talk to take place on the field. And the emotion is certainly here. The Gamecocks are on their way, and Pat McAnally and Mike Patrick are standing by to bring you the kickoff right after this.
This is Mark Seelig of the Miami Hurricanes, who will kick it off. And they'll kick off from the 35-yard line this year, the most significant college rule change. Sterling Sharp, number 2, and Raynard Brown, number 30, are deep to receive. Both have returned kicks at least 99 yards for touchdowns in their career. And we are set to go with a 17-game schedule on ESPN. And it is Raynard Brown at the 8-yard line. Trying to get outside. 30 and dragged down at the 31-yard line by Benny Blades. The starting safety chased him out of bounds. 22-yard kickoff return. And that is Todd Ellis, the redshirt freshman quarterback out of Page High School in Greensboro, North Carolina. He put some awesome statistics on the board as a high school quarterback. Now he has to do it in college with the run and shoot. The lone setback in this offensive set will be number 49, Anthony Smith. The wide receivers, Danny Smith, 41, Ryan Bethea, number 1. The wingbacks, Kevin White, 6. Sterling Sharp is number 2. And Sharp was the man in motion, and Ellis to the air immediately. It's Sharp, incomplete. Coming up to hit him was Don Ellis, the left corner. But the pass was right on target, and he couldn't hold it. The interior line, which will face a big challenge tonight against Miami's defense. The tackles, Curtis Hill, 64, and Darren Farina, 62. The guards, Charlie Gowan, 77, a 244-pounder. Woody Myers is the center. The other interior lineman, Mark Fryer, the right tackle, who will face a tremendous challenge from that Miami defensive line. 2nd and 10. Ellis rolling right again and looking to throw. Has time, throws incomplete once again. Ellis came up to make the big hit on Kevin White.
That's one thing a lot of people don't realize is how good that secondary at Miami's hits. They are hitters. They're not just great athletes.
It's a great secondary in addition to Ellis at the left corner. The right corner is Tolbert Bain, number 18, Selwyn Brown, 32, and Benny Blades, who made the tackle on the opening kickoff, are the safeties. The up front, Dan Stubbs, number 96, premier pass rusher at the left end. Bill Hawkins, the right end, 54. Derwin Jones, 86. And Outland Trophy candidate, number 98, Jerome Brown, is the right tackle. 3rd and 10 for South Carolina. Ellis back to throw again. Near far sideline, complete, and it should be enough for a first down to Sterling Sharp. Tolbert Bain on him, but Ellis got him the ball.
That's a big play, Mike. It starts him off, gets first down. Sterling Sharp is an outstanding receiver. He played wide out last year. He'll run a little hook pattern here. He'll come back to the ball. Great hands. First down.
And listen to the crowd. 72,400 plus in the rain in Columbia. And they want their Gamecocks off the board in a hurry. And they've got their first down at the South Carolina 41. Sharp in motion again. They like to set 3 wide receivers to one side in this offense. Pressure on Ellis this time. He's sacked. Fumble. Still loose in Miami. Has it now. They are going to blow it down and say that it was an incomplete pass.
Bad call, Mike. That definitely looked like it was a fumble to me.
Stubbs is the man that put the pressure on him, who had 12 sacks a year ago.
Watch Danny Stubbs. He's the best pass rusher. He's an outstanding athlete. He'll take on the blocker. He'll come back and make the play now. This is a fumble. This is not an incomplete pass. This should be a turnover. That's a big break for South Carolina.
Sure was. That ball was loose, and he was not in the act of throwing, and you can get another yes vote on that opinion from Jimmy Johnson. 2nd and 10. Ellis again dumps it out to White this time. White has the completion to the 47-yard line. Coming up from the secondary, Randy Shannon.
There's going to be a lot of... Mike, they'll be throwing a lot of these short control passes, hoping they can break some tackles and make some big plays out of them. Kevin White's strong. He's a fast kid. There's definitely a fumble here. The ball was stripped clean. This should be a turnover, and I'll tell you, South Carolina will take as many breaks like this as they can get.
Jimmy Johnson on the sideline. South Carolina facing 3rd and 4. So far, Todd Ellis is 2 out of 5. Sends Sharp in motion. Here's that option offense, and they send the running back straight up the middle, very close to a first down. Goes Anthony Smith out of Irwinton, Georgia. And it should be close enough to measure. George Myra and Randy Shannon in on the tackle. Myra, of course, the son of the famous former University of Miami quarterback who went on for a fine career in the pros.
Mike, this is one of the things I know the defensive coordinator was scared of for Miami. They think that South Carolina will be in the run and shoot, but they're going to run a lot of their veer option type material that they used last year. Their linemen are used to the blocking schemes, and they've got the running backs.
They've got the first down. 2 in a row for South Carolina. And Pat, I have to think that this is the biggest boost possible for that South Carolina offense.
I don't think there's any question about it. Todd Ellis is in there. He's throwing some good passes. The receivers have shown they can get open, and I think the line's doing a heck of a job right now.
There's Joe Morrison on the sideline. 2 years ago, of course, he was awarded National Coach of the Year honors in several publications because of a brilliant 10-2 season. This is White in motion. That was the first running play from scrimmage. Ellis with that roll. Deep pass this time and incomplete. And a flag goes down, a late flag at the Miami 32. He was trying to hit Danny Smith, his split end, and a flag goes down at the 32, and the only thing we can guess, it's interference. Let's take a listen to the official. Personal foul call. And it looked like Selwyn Brown, number 32, was the first man to hit him. There's Selwyn Brown.
It'll be up right-hand side of your screen right here. It's going to be a late hit. The ball's way overthrown. It could not have been caught. Just a late hit, unnecessary. They're playing right into South Carolina's hands here. If they can go down and score a touchdown, they're going to be in this ball game.
Foul on the defense. First down.
It is a personal foul call against the Miami secondary and moves it to the Hurricanes 34. There's Tommy Miller in control of all the officials on the field right now. The 3rd first down on this opening drive for South Carolina. 12:55 to go, first quarter. Anthony Smith, the only remaining back, and they'll go on the option. Pitch it to White, and White horse-collared as he got to the sideline. Tolbert Bain was the first man to hit him, and George Myra was over there with him. Myra, if any problem on the Miami defense, it would be linebacker, and Myra has had some problems off the field. He had a run-in with an off-duty campus policeman, still faces disorderly conduct charges on that, and they are missing Winston Moss, the strong side linebacker, who was suspended for 1 game because of his involvement with the use of a booster's car. So Miami's only suspect area on defense is even more of a problem here in the first game. Ellis, who's shown a lot of poise so far, dumps that one short and incomplete. Trying to hit Smith again at the 31-yard line. And there is another flag down, this one in the South Carolina secondary at the point of the tackle. Rod Carter on coverage on the last pass play.
Mike, I think it's going to be a holding call. It's going to push South Carolina back. It's going to put a lot of pressure on their offense to pick up this first down. They're going to have to go down the field with a pass, or they're going to have to complete something short and break a tackle.
And they'll mark off 10 yards back to the 44. Let's hear the call.
62. Holding number 62 of the offense. Second down.
Call went against Darren Farina, the senior guard from McKeesport, Pennsylvania. Second down now long for South Carolina. 2nd and 19. Ellis has his wide receivers 2 to each side. And now they'll send Raynard Brown in motion. So they have trips right. Pressure on Ellis. Little screen pass and incomplete. Anthony Smith was out there. They seemed to have the perfect call for the situation, but Ellis just overthrew him.
Incomplete. Third down.
So bring up 3rd and 19, and now Miami is sending in Darrell Fullington, number 19, and Kevin McCutcheon, number 28, and they'll either go with 5 or 6 defensive backs, Pat, on 3rd and 19.
Well, I think with their pass rush, it's going to be doubly tough. They're really getting a lot of pressure on Todd Ellis right now, and with 3rd and 19, they're going to be teeing off and coming after him.
Ellis so far 2 out of 6, 17 yards. Needs a big play here. 4-man rush and a lot of pressure. Ellis hustled out of the pocket, still on his feet inside the 40. Dragged down from behind. And it was Bill Hawkins who came back from his right end spot to make the tackle.
Miami has so many great athletes. That's a defensive end. He came from the backfield and ran down the quarterback.
And now South Carolina will send in Scott Boehm for the first punt of his collegiate career. What's he thinking, Pat?
He's praying right now for a good snap, and he wants to put this ball inside the 10-yard line to begin his career.
Brett Perriman is the deep man, standing at the 10-yard line. Probably doesn't expect to get this football on 4th and 15. A little bit of a high snap. Boehm floats one. Yeah, that's into the end zone. And with 11:23 to go in the first quarter from Columbia, South Carolina, we have no score.
Tonight's game is being brought to you by AMC Jeep. There's a feeling you can get only in a Jeep. And by Kentucky Fried Chicken. We do chicken right.
All right, Michael, watch Miami run this ball. I don't think they're going to come out throwing the ball right away. I think they're going to establish the great running game they have. Look for Alonzo Highsmith to have a big night tonight.
Alonzo Highsmith, number 30, and Melvin Bratton, number 5, will be the running tandem behind number 14, Vinny Testaverde, the Heisman Trophy candidate. Miami with some great skilled people, and they'll go to Highsmith right away. And Highsmith gets absolutely nothing. South Carolina swarms on top of him, and one of the first men there are the middle linebacker Zip Zanders. The other linebackers, 84 Kenneth Robinson, the leading tackler from a year ago. Shed Diggs, number 42 up front. It's 97 David Johnson and Willie McEntee, 88 at the ends. Brendan McCormick, 95, and Tommy Chaikin, 94 are the defensive line. The secondary, Chris Major, Ron Rabune, Robert Robertson, and Greg Philpott. 2nd and 10 for Miami. South Carolina thinking pass, going with a 4-man rush, almost intercepted, and then caught Benny Blades at the sideline. One of the South Carolina defenders went for the interception, almost had it.
I'll tell you, that's the advantage of having a strong arm, Mike. He just threw that ball. If he hadn't had so much speed and strength on that pass, it would have been picked off. It's a great catch by Benny Blades. The thing about Blades is you got to realize 9'5", 100 in high school. 24-foot long jumper. You think he's a threat or what?
Oh, yeah. Shed Diggs, the outside linebacker, was the man who had a shot at it. But it's a first down Miami. They're first of the ball game, just over their own 30-yard line. Wide receivers split right and left, and Testaverde back to throw. Getting some pressure from the outside, dumps it off to Highsmith. On the screen. South Carolina defense did pretty well. And they'll hold it to a short game. Ron Rabune, the strong side safety, came up to make the tackle on Alonzo Highsmith, the senior out of Miami. Young man has had 1,452 career rushing yards for Miami. That's 7th all time. And he only needs 14 more catches, 13 more after that one, to move into the top 10 in the receiving department. So he has been an all-around outstanding performer for the Hurricanes. Gain of 6 on the last play. It's 2nd and 4. This time they'll operate out of the eye. Highsmith, the up back. Fumble. Testaverde on it at the 32. He beat Shed Diggs to the ball. Take a look at the exchange, Pat, and see if that was the problem.
It just looked like it hit him right in the stomach, and he get his hands around it. Little fake to Highsmith, just hit him right in the chest. He never had the ball in his hands. That'll happen in the first game of the year.
May have been a little high.
Hit him right in the chest.
3rd down, 9 yards to go. That is the quarterback's responsibility.
Well, he's 6'5", Mike. I guess he's tough to get down there sometimes.
Got to reach down a little bit, and the man he was trying to get it to, Melvin Bratton, at 6'1", 217. 3rd and 9, and the Gamecock fans want their club to hold on defense.
Tight end right now, right in the middle. Here we go.
Testaverde right over the middle, completes the 45-yard line to Michael Irvin, his speedy flanker back, and it's plenty for a first down. Kenneth Robinson, the linebacker, was trying to get there but was late, and Testaverde was right on target.
Well, if he gets that kind of time all night, Mike, he's going to complete a lot of passes. Here's Michael Irvin. Irvin couldn't, you know, that's a great release. He got between two defenders, and he's just wide open in the zone. He set down exactly like he's supposed to. Good throw by Testaverde. Look at this guy. He wants to break that tackle and go all the way. Those are the receivers for Miami. They're big plays.
Ball spotted just past the Miami 45-yard line. We're scoreless in the first quarter. 8 minutes, 57 seconds to go. Not much of a play fake by Testaverde. It looked like a busted play, and he'll have to eat it at the 43-yard line. Byron Love was the man who closed on him. I think Testaverde didn't quite get out enough to get the handoff.
I'm a little surprised with the experience they have right now that they're making a few mistakes. But this is a tough stadium, and again, they've got a lot of jitters. They want that national title. They're going to have to play better if they're going to win this game, Mike.
Of course, Miami uses a lot of checkoffs at the line of scrimmage in their offensive system, and it's a little difficult to hear in here when the fans get cranked up.
Yeah, there's no question about that.
Second down, now 12 yards to go. Miami back at its own 44. South Carolina showing a 5-man front. And they'll give it to Highsmith. Breaks 2 tackles across the 50 and into South Carolina territory for the first time. Down to the 46-yard line before Shed Diggs was in on the tackle for the Gamecocks.
What I really like about Alonzo Highsmith is that he supported Vinny when he got all the publicity last year. And this year, Vinny Testaverde's been saying, hey, if we had a running offense, Alonzo Highsmith would be the Heisman Trophy candidate. I think he's going to have a great year.
Highsmith, 2 carries so far with 11 yards. Doesn't seem to be much jealousy on this ball club.
Tremendous team.
Third down, 2 yards to go. They split the back, Bratton and Highsmith behind Testaverde, and it appears he's changing the play at the line of scrimmage. Here comes the blitz. They got him, and the ball's loose. And South Carolina recovers. Zip Zanders made the hit, and Willie McEntee, number 88, the senior from Lilly, Georgia, gets the recovery. First big break of the game, 7.5 minutes to go. South Carolina will have it when we come back.
Well, here's how turnovers occur. Watch the blitz. Number 81, Zip Zanders, comes in clean. There's a mistake by the offensive line. Defensive coordinator Tom Gadd said they're going to have to blitz Testaverde and put pressure on him and get some early turnovers. There's one for him right there, Mike.
They've got it at the Miami 44-yard line. There's Zanders, the freshman middle linebacker, who's playing at 205 pounds. There aren't many of those around.
No, there aren't.
Ellis brings them out. White goes in motion to the top of your screen. And Ellis wants to throw against a 4-man rush. Deep downfield, intercepted. Picked off by Benny Blades. Benny Blades. As Miami trades turnovers, and Todd Ellis hung that one up a little too long, and Blades will get it every time.
Well, Benny Blades can cover the field. He is so fast. He led the country in the 440 as a senior in high school, 46.5. It's just a little roll to the left. He tosses the ball into the zone. Benny Blades coming up. And I'll tell you, Sterling made a big play here to stop this from being a touchdown. Sharp makes his tackle, or he had 4 or 5 blockers. He might have gone the distance.
It's a good thing they did tackle Benny Blades, because Blades has run back 2 for touchdowns in his career and had 4 interceptions last year. He runs a 4.38 40. And when he gets his hands on the ball, you want to get it back away from him. Miami gets the big turnover and should have the momentum. This is Bratton, and Bratton goes absolutely nowhere. Now, this defensive charge is reminiscent of the Fire Ant defense 2 years ago. Let's go to Tim Brando on the sideline.
All right, Mike, that was an adjustment made by the Miami defense in that last series. The defensive secondary coach had noticed that Todd Ellis was looking for the wingback more so than the wideout, so they obviously made the adjustment and came up with the pick. Let's go back upstairs.
And the wingbacks are the big playmen in this South Carolina offensive system called run and shoot.
Mike, I'm impressed with the defensive line so far in the backers. They're stopping that running game pretty well.
Done a fine job. It's 2nd and 10 for the Hurricanes. They'll give it to Highsmith this time. And Highsmith stacked up at the line of scrimmage. And South Carolina's offense and defensive line must be gaining a great deal of confidence so far. Ron Rabune came up to be one of the first men on the hit, the strong safety. Very tough against the run. Last year, of course, South Carolina's defense couldn't do anything against the run. 5 teams had more than 200 yards a game. Florida State rushed for 409 yards against this defense.
Well, Mike, they really hit the weights. They got a lot stronger. They've got some new people in there, and they're gambling. They're going with a lot of smaller, quicker linebackers, and right now they're filling the holes great.
On 3rd and 10, Miami will go with Perriman, Blades, and Urban. 3 wide receivers. 2 to the near side, Blades and Urban. Testaverde to throw, plenty of time.
Urban.
Deep sideline, and Urban has it in South Carolina territory. Beautiful pass, just laid it in there. Ken Sally was chasing him, but he was at least a step and a half behind.
We have Urban. Mike Urban's right in the inside slot here. He's going to go and break the zone. Good, fast receiver, runs to the open area in the zone. He doesn't try to beat a man. It's just a great throw by Testaverde. There's no way to stop a play like that. Vinny's really on his downfield passes right now, Mike.
4 out of 4, 43 yards. Not a bad start for the Heisman Trophy candidate. Miami in South Carolina territory for the 2nd time in the game. They're at the 46. The last time they were here, they fumbled and coughed up the ball. Bratton, big hole up the middle. And Bratton goes inside the 35 to the 34 with Shed Diggs getting a free ride on his back. Bratton did not play all that well last year, although Coach Jimmy Johnson is quick to point out that his running back statistics were so much lower because Vinny Testaverde's statistics were so much higher because it was a passing-oriented offense.
Well, he also lost some weight and he's faster this year. He can definitely break the long run now.
1st and 10 at the 34. Testaverde gives to Bratton again. Got away from one tackle, has room to run. He might go all the way. Bratton at the 10. 5, touchdown.
Like I said, Mike, he can definitely break some big plays for you.
Melvin Bratton, 34 yards. He broke a tackle at the line of scrimmage, dodged a couple of people, and then he turned on that speed. That's a Miami trademark.
There's no question. A little cross buck. They went back to him. He broke the tackle at the line of scrimmage, and now it's just sheer ability. He reads a block. Great cut back here, and speed. So much speed on this Miami team, all over the field. Great effort to get in the end zone. Boy, when they get near that goal line, they want a touchdown, Mike.
And speed is the one thing you can't teach. The point after by Mark Seelig, who's replacing Greg Cox as the kicker, and Seelig boots it through. With 5 minutes and 15 seconds to go in the first quarter, favored Miami has jumped on top 7-0. Miami on the board first. The Hurricanes 7. The Gamecocks of South Carolina nothing. With 5:15 to go in the first quarter. Mike Patrick along with Pat McAnally and Tim Brando. Glad you could be with us on ESPN for our opener of the 1986 season. Seelig set to kick it away to Sterling Sharp, who's on the far side, and Raynard Brown, number 30, to the near side. Seelig, who used to put 60% of his kickoffs into the end zone, now has to kick off from the 35 with that rule change. Nice high floating kick. And Sharp will take it from the 7. And no place to go. Stacked up inside the 20-yard line. Kevin McCutcheon on special teams down to get him. Only an 11-yard return. McCutcheon played at South Carolina as a freshman. You don't think he enjoyed that tackle. Bratton capped a 61-yard drive with that beautiful 34-yard run, and it only took Miami 2 minutes and 7 seconds on that drive to take the lead. Very impressive, and Testaverde has been perfect. Anthony Smith, the lone remaining running back, behind Todd Ellis, the redshirt freshman quarterback. This is Sterling Sharp in motion. They'll run the option and pitch it out to Anthony Smith. Got some room to run across the 20. They'll mark it at about the 21-yard line, where Don Ellis came up from the corner to get him with help from Selwyn Brown, the strong side safety.
Mike, what's amazing about Miami is how much depth they have at the skill positions. You know, Warren Williams was supposed to start this week at running back, and he's been nicked up a little bit.
He was the leading rusher a year ago, and he can't even get in the lineup.
Bratton breaks a big one.
Second down, 7 yards to go for South Carolina. They'll send Sharp in motion to the far side this time. Ellis against the four-man rush. They come back to the weak side on that option run, and Anthony Smith didn't have a chance. Rod Carter, the weak side linebacker, stayed home where he was supposed to be and did his job. Carter, a sophomore out of Fort Lauderdale, worked really hard this year on his pass coverage.
You know, Mike, the interesting thing about him is he's an art major and not an art history major. He actually paints. He wants to someday have his own studio. Linebacker painting, can you believe that?
I'd be afraid not to buy one of them. 3rd and 8. South Carolina with a big play deep in their own territory. Ellis with some time. Near sideline, and it's complete to Sterling Sharp at the 34-yard line. Don Ellis was there with the pass, but Todd Ellis got the ball in there.
Well, I think he's showing, Mike, that if he has time, he can throw the ball downfield, too.
But there is a flag, and it looks like it's going to be holding against South Carolina, and that's not going to make Joe Morrison very happy. You're right. The young man has all the credentials coming out of high school. Great arm, poise, everything else.
Well, Sterling Sharp has run a lot of those patterns when he was a wide receiver, so he's comfortable.
3rd down.
It'll still be 3rd down, but they'll mark it back at the 12-yard line, and South Carolina will have 17 yards to go on this one.
Third.
3 minutes, 35 seconds to go, first quarter.
They have their dime defense in with Fullington.
Pat, do you be conservative down here?
Well, they want to get that punter out as far as they can, that's for sure.
Screen to Smith. Across the 20 to about the 23, a step away from breaking it. Selwyn Brown made the tackle, the strong safety, and it'll bring up a 4th down situation for South Carolina.
Mike, I wouldn't be surprised to see Miami rush this punt. You know, he's only punted one ball in his career. The ball's a little wet. They might want to put some pressure on him right now.
Bame drops the kick. Perriman is deep to receive.
They're lined up with 10 guys, Mike. They may be coming.
Anthony Smith, number 49, is the up back.
Here they come.
And he picked off the one man who had a chance, and a nice kick by Bame. Perriman will let it hit, and it takes a neutral bounce, now rolling a little bit toward the 42-yard line, and Miami will start with good field position after a 36-yard punt. 2 minutes and 42 seconds to go. First quarter of play from Columbia, South Carolina. Miami has the football and a 7-0 lead over South Carolina. Michael Irvin, the receiver to the near side and the wide side of the field. Testaverde out of the eye. Play fake. Dumps it over the middle, and it's complete to Highsmith. And Highsmith does the hurdle down to about the 35-yard line. Alonzo Highsmith out of Miami showed you some athletic ability on that one. Greg Philpott was the man who had to make the tackle.
Testaverde with a nice little roll to the left. Now watch what an athlete can do with the ball. Alonzo Highsmith, 235 pounds. He's going to hurdle right over the defender. Unbelievable.
Philpott was there to knock him out of bounds, but Testaverde has been perfect so far. 5 out of 5, 64 yards. And Miami has mixed it up beautifully on offense. They have 42 yards rushing. 1st and 10 from the South Carolina 37. Bratton and Highsmith continue as the running backs, and this is Highsmith trying to get outside. Nice play that time by the secondary. They came up to bring him down. Looked like Brad Edwards. And there is a flag down on the play. And it will go against Miami on a motion call.
Okay.
Mike, how many teams run their fullback on a sweep like that?
And get away with it. You have to be very impressed with Miami's play selection so far on offense, and you have to give credit to Jimmy Johnson, who's 18-7 in his 3rd year. Those are pretty decent statistics. But they have mixed it up well, and I guess that's a tribute to the kind of players they have.
They really do. They have a great team spirit also. They're willing to share the stardom. And Jimmy Johnson told us before the game that he'll take what the defense gives him. I mean, if they're going to give him the run, they're going to run all night. If they got to mix it up, they will. We know they can throw the ball.
They'll move him back 5 yards on the motion penalty, so it's 1st and 15 for Miami from the South Carolina 42. There are the numbers on Vinny Testaverde. If you were with us in the pregame, you know how much he would like to win the Heisman Trophy. It's been a dream. If he keeps throwing like that, he's going to. Irvin surrounded by South Carolina Gamecocks. They'll go after the football. And Urban gave up 3 or 4 yards of his gain. Robert Robertson, the first man to him, but that swarming South Carolina defense just surrounded the speedy wide receiver. Only picked up 4 yards on the play.
But they're getting the ball to him, and every time he has the ball in his hands, he's a real threat.
I think you have to be a special kind of player to be a defensive back.
Well, it's the toughest job on the field, other than punting, of course.
Other than punting, of course. Testaverde looks it over on 2nd and 11. Both wide receivers to the wide side of the field, top of your screen, and he's looking that way. Throws incomplete. Had some contact out there between the South Carolina defender Chris Major and Brian Blades, Miami's receiver, and it appeared that Blades was trying to go deep, and Major was in his way, and Major is the best defensive back in that South Carolina secondary.
Well, they're confident that he can cover anybody in the country man-to-man, and he'll get a test tonight with Brian Blades and company. That was a good job, though.
First incompletion of the night for Testaverde, who's 6 out of 7 for 68 yards, and now he faces 3rd and 11. Big play for the South Carolina defense. Testaverde has hit 2 out of 3 on 3rd down. Here comes a 5-man rush. Still has time. Incomplete. Harriman turning sideways as the ball got there and couldn't hold it. That was a catchable ball, I think, Pat.
Well, the ball's a little bit behind him, but if Vinny has this kind of time, again, he can go upfield. He makes a nice little move in the pocket, throws the ball. It's just behind him. This is a tougher catch than it looks, ladies and gentlemen. He's got someone coming in on him. Still, you'd like to pull those down.
Now they'll bring in Jeff Feagles to kick from the 38-yard line. Let's see if he goes for the corner or just tries to hang it up. Sterling Sharp, the single deep man, standing at the 10. Sharp would love to get his hands on the ball.
He's known for his hang time, Mike.
Ooh, low snap. He'll get this one away. And it will take a great bounce from Miami and excellent coverage for the Hurricanes, as Kevin McCutcheon, who has been a demon on special teams so far, got down there to grab the ball and take it out of bounds. A 32-yard punt, but the yardage is far less important than where he put it, Pat.
Well, he pinned him down at the 6-yard line. That's what a great team punter does, and excellent job. Nice little bounce.
Be with us tomorrow live at 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Pacific for the Southern 500 from Story, Darlington, South Carolina. Bob Jenkins, Jack Arute, Dick Berggren, and Jerry Punch will be there, and you'll get a chance to watch Dale Earnhardt, Darrell Waltrip, and the pole sitter Tim Richmond, who won last week at Bristol, Tennessee. So join us tomorrow live from Darlington.
Mike, this isn't where you want to be with a run and shoot offense. I wouldn't be surprised if they go to the wishbone. You know, they have it in their offense. They've got to get the ball away from the goal line.
Really, one of the problems that Jimmy Johnson said his Miami defense faced was trying to prepare for so many different things. Harold Green, number 22, a touted freshman, is the running back, and he'll get the ball. No, they work it on the fake and get it outside to Raynard Brown, and he's driven out of bounds by Rod Carter and Don Ellis. Well, they faked me out a little bit, but they did not fake the Miami defense.
I'll tell you, the coaches want to get that ball to Harold Green. They're calling him a potential future All-American. Very fast. The first ball he handled in spring this year in the scrimmage was a 65-yard touchdown. He's a game breaker.
As a senior in high school, he had 30 touchdowns, and 16 of them were for more than 50 yards. Loss of 1 on that last play. 2nd and 11. And Ellis will throw from his own end zone. Deep sideline pass tipped. Intercepted. Benny Blades, was he in or out of bounds? He was inbound. Benny Blades takes the tip, his 2nd interception of the ball game, as they were throwing for Sterling Sharp, but the ball hung. It appeared that Don Ellis may have gotten a hand on it and tipped it up in the air.
Michael's excellent coverage by Don Ellis. Drop back. Now, he's got a lot of time. He's trying to get the ball out of the end zone, but he really forces this ball. He's well guarded. The ball's tipped up, and this is speed again. You just can't. Benny Blades, 2 picks already. He's a free safety. He's disciplined. He takes the middle of the field. He goes deep, and then he just goes to the ball.
Benny Blades has both turnovers with 15 seconds to go in the quarter. Another big break from Miami at the South Carolina 21-yard line. Highsmith is the lone remaining running back as Bratton, number 5, goes to a wing. And Testaverde wants to throw for Blades. Incomplete. That's for Brian Blades. He's Benny's brother. And Chris Major with some pretty good coverage out there. Chris Major, they may be picking on the wrong guy.
Well, Miami thought they could get a down and out pattern in here, but Chris Major is going to lay some serious wood on Brian Blades. There's no way he was going to hold on to that ball. I'm really impressed with Chris Major. He not only can guard a guy one-on-one, but he's a tremendous tackler. Watched him last year against Florida State. He was all over the field in that game. 13 games, touchdown-saving tackles last year, Mike.
10 career interceptions. It's 2nd and 10. Testaverde keeping it. He's got room to run. And now he gets out of bounds, very close to first down territory at about the 12-yard line. Major was the man who chased him out of bounds. Was that a design play, or did somebody miss a handoff?
Tell me he's not going to be a pro quarterback, Mike. He got out of bounds right when he could.
Yes, he did. Testaverde running that time, picked up 8. It's 3rd and 2.
But he really showed some of his athleticism there. He broke that tackle in the backfield. He had just enough speed, strength to get around the corner.
Big play here. The clock stopped with 3 seconds to go in the first quarter. 3rd down, call it a yard for Miami. A good look at Jimmy Johnson, who is continuing the great tradition in Miami. Everyone in tight on this one.
Look for a blitz here, Mike.
They'll give it to Bratton. He's got Highsmith in front of him and room to run. Bratton, touchdown. Melvin Bratton gets within 3 yards of the goal line, and he's Superman. He takes off.
That's an instant replay of his first touchdown. Unbelievable. He gets to the 3 and dives. This is what happens a lot of times on short yardage. If you can break through that first line of defense, it's going to be a touchdown. Look at the speed of Alonzo Highsmith, though. Alonzo Highsmith's down there 10 yards, throws a key block.
And Paul O'Connor, number 77, and their All-American candidate center, Greg Riccozzi, number 74, were the men who really sealed off the right side. And Highsmith went down there looking for somebody to hit. This is Seelig, point after. They got it down, and Seelig puts it through. And the Hurricanes, on the last play of the first quarter, have taken a 14-0 lead over the Gamecocks of South Carolina. It's 14-0 Miami over South Carolina as we get ready to start the second quarter. And if you joined us late, here is what Miami has just done after a turnover, gone 20 yards in only 15 seconds. And Bratton scored his 2nd touchdown of the ballgame, this time on an 11-yard run. Seelig will kick it away. Harold Green is one of the deep receivers for South Carolina, along with Raynard Brown. And Brown is the man who's going to have to field it 3 yards deep in the end zone, and he will down it there as Seelig puts it in the end zone. Let's go down to the field level and Tim Brando.
Mike, isn't it interesting? So much in that Miami arsenal. The defensive coordinators for obviously this team from South Carolina wanted to pinch inside, put more pressure on Vinny Testaverde. Once that happened, all Miami had to do was go outside. They did. They got another touchdown.
Excellent point, Tim, because they had the outside sealed with only 2 interior linemen blocking, and there was no one else home. Green will remain in the ballgame as the single remaining running back behind redshirt freshman quarterback Todd Ellis. Sharp is the man in motion. And Green hit as he touched the football, and Outland Trophy candidate Jerome Brown at 285 was the man who stacked him up.
Green.
Is he good or what?
Jerome Brown is so strong, 290 pounds. I've just split the defenders, and he tackled them both. Look at he's so strong, he took them both down.
Well, you grab 2, then you find out which one has the ball, you throw the other one away. 2nd and 10 for South Carolina. Man in motion. Ellis has got to get something started on offense. 4-man rush, wanted a screen, it was covered, and he throws deep over the middle and could have been intercepted. But the Miami defenders were watching the South Carolina receivers. Right now, let's go back to SportsCenter and Larry Burnett.
All right, gentlemen, just some time now to update you on scores that are in progress in games tonight. First of all, number 13, Florida, in action. They beat Georgia Southern today, 38-14. Kerwin Bell, a big day. It is Florida State, our number 11 team on the ESPN poll, shutting out Toledo at halftime. Kansas State in the first quarter, leading Western Illinois. It is Northern Illinois over Ball State, and the first, and Tulsa is leading Louisiana Tech at the half. Back to Columbia.
3rd and 10 facing Ellis. throws this deep sideline and almost caught by Sharp. And Ellis may have just been trying to throw that one away as he was under pressure from Dan Stubbs. Ellis 3 out of 11, 2 interceptions and only 28 yards. So Pat, after a real good start, he's had his problems with that great Miami defense.
Well, the line's starting to assert themselves. Danny Stubbs is going to be in his face all night.
Perriman. That's Brett Perriman, deep to receive the punt of Scott Boehm, who was standing at his own 5-yard line. Miami showing 10 men on the line of scrimmage. Almost got there.
Oh, beautiful punt, though. Tight spiral.
Perriman with a fair catch at his own 41-yard line. Timeout, second quarter. It's Miami 14, Carolina nothing.
Let's go!
Well, there's nothing prettier to a punter than when he gets a tight spiral. Now, this is almost blocked, but he keeps his head down. Excellent form. He's got to be happy with that punt, and they needed it.
Bubba McDowell was the man who almost got his hands on it. Miami with 1st and 10 from its own 41-yard line. Darrell Oliver and Warren Williams in at running back. Flag goes down on the play as the pass was completed to Michael Irvin over the middle. He took a couple of big shots, especially from Matt McKernan, backup strong side linebacker, and Willie McEntee. And it's going to be a holding call against Miami that will take them back and nullify the play. There's Irvin, the young man out of Fort Lauderdale, sophomore, 6'2", 200 pounds. Last year, he had at least 1 touchdown.
Holding for the offense, first down.
Had at least 1 touchdown in 8 straight ball games. Testaverde so far 6 out of 9, 68 yards. The 3 incompletions, 2 of those were dropped. Facing 1st and 20 right now, however. They'll give it off to Oliver. Oliver hit in the backfield and dragged down. Excellent stop by Roy Hart in at left tackle. And you can take a look at the first quarter statistics, and this is what a lot of people, including Vino Cook, did not think was going to happen in the first quarter. Is that right?
Well, definitely. This is a tough game to call, but Miami is so overpowering offensively, and they've had 2 turnovers. They're going to move the ball, and they're going to score.
Of course, Vino might remind us it's not over yet, and it certainly isn't. Another running play will go absolutely nowhere with Warren Williams, who was the leading rusher for the Hurricanes a year ago, stacked up in the middle of the line. And Fitzgerald Davis, number 53, had a hold of his ankles.
When they've had long passing situations, Mike, they've been putting Michael Irvin in a slot. And with the 2 speedsters they have out, one outside of him and on the other side, he's getting open. And here
12 minutes, 44 seconds to go. Second quarter of play from Columbia, 3rd and 17. And they'll go with the double wing. And a 2-man pass rush against Testaverde, who has all day. Now he's under some pressure and a loose ball. And South Carolina will come up with it. Willie Hill, the middle linebacker. The man who made the recovery. Roy Hart was the man who shook it loose. The second time they have taken the ball away from Testaverde.
They had about 15 seconds back there, but nobody is open. It's great coverage. He's moving around in the pocket here. He kind of gets caught up with his offensive lineman, and the ball gets knocked out, stripped. Now they had a chance to recover that ball.
Great job by Hart, and Willie Hill made the recovery. A big break for South Carolina. Good look at the freshman quarterback out of Greensboro, Todd Ellis, trying to take advantage of the second Miami turnover. He's got Anthony Smith behind him, and South Carolina with the ball in Miami territory. Whistle is going to stop this play as Smith got away, and one of the officials had blown the whistle. I don't know if it was before the play started, but there are 2 flags now.
Oh, they'll take it back, Mike.
May not have been set before they got the snap, and it is a motion penalty against the Gamecocks. They went on a quick count that time, and apparently a little too quick. Everybody may not have been set. Watch Darren Farina in the interior line. He's the right guard. He did get the jump. Gets you a better angle if you have a head start.
Yeah, definitely. Well, they're trying to double team that nose guard.
Let's go down to Tim Brando on the sideline.
You know, the run and shoot, Mike and Pat, is designed for the big play, but Frank Sato, the offensive coordinator for South Carolina, told Todd Ellis, we need the big play. They're biting on Sterling Sharp. Let's take a look at him and try to go deep in Miami's case in this series. Let's go back upstairs.
They've got freshman Calvin Stevens, number 68, in at right guard now for Darren Farina, who just made that last mistake. This is Ellis on a half roll, and he's in trouble. They've got him, and down he goes in the arms of Dan Cilio, the junior left tackle. Miami's physical advantage is starting to show.
Well, they're so strong and they're so fast on that defensive line. Really, it's the greatest strength of their defense. They're just going to beat him with quickness and strength. Now, this is just great speed. He's going to come all the way around the corner and run him down. Todd didn't have a chance. They take those short drops. But one thing about the run and shoot, Mike, you'll notice, the sack is just like a loss on a run. It's not a big loss.
South Carolina now in the second quarter showing only 8 yards rushing. This is second and long. They give it off to Sharp on the option play, and Sharp had absolutely nowhere to go. And the Miami players kept coming after him. That's George Myra, the junior, the middle linebacker, who's saying, hey, we didn't rough him up. We just make sure he was going in the right direction.
Well, when they run that up motion and the particularly Sterling Sharp goes behind the fullback, the back, they're going to run that option a lot of times, Mike. They want to get him deep. They want to pitch him the ball, but right now Miami just has too much pursuit.
Myra set a record for the school last year with 76 unassisted tackles. Third down, 19 yards to go for South Carolina. They'll send Raynard Brown in motion, and Ellis against the three-man rush on the draw. And the draw to Anthony Smith is not going to get much. It'll go inside the 40-yard line, where Rod Carter and George Myra Jr. were in on the tackle. Myra's just a tough customer, that's all.
He's all over the field, and with those big guys in front of him, he's tough to see, and he comes up and he's going to knock the ball loose a lot of times.
Brett Perriman will go deep for Scott Bain's punt. Perriman standing on his 10.
See if he can put it on the 6-yard line again, Mike. He's had a good night so far.
Bain will hit it from around midfield with 10:25 to go. Tries for the corner this time and got it. And let's see where they'll mark it. Inside the 20, yes, at the 17-yard line. Miami will start from its own 17 with 10:21 to go in the half. Testaverde brings them out with Warren Williams, 24, and Darrell Oliver, 37. The running back split behind him from their own 16-yard line. This is Oliver hit the backfield and stopped. Great tackle by Derek Frazier. The junior college transfer really crashed in from the right end and made the tackle. Loss of 6.
Well, South Carolina's been able to stuff the inside game, and you know, they continue going outside, but Frazier just got inside his blocker and ran him down. It's good speed.
Bratton, who is the leading ground gainer in the ballgame, not in there right now. 4 carries, 57 yards, and a couple of touchdowns. As Williams and Oliver, the second tandem, are in. 2nd and 16. Give it off to Oliver. They'll lose more yardage as Brendan McCormick got him in the backfield. South Carolina's defense, Pat, has shown flashes of brilliance. It's just they haven't been quite consistent enough.
Well, they're very inexperienced, but they're hungry. It's the handoff inside. Great. Plays off the block, takes him down. They had other people around the play. They were going to stop it either way.
Third down, 22. And the South Carolina fans, 72,400 of them, rather, trying to get back into this ballgame and give Miami some trouble at the line of scrimmage. And Testaverde wants to throw. Plenty of time, deep sideline, complete to Irvin. Irvin forced out of bounds at the 33-yard line, and that will be enough for a first down. Now, how about that call?
No question. They have so much confidence in their offensive line. Testaverde just sits in the pocket all day long. This is excellent. And just tosses the ball. This is the toughest throw in football. 30-yard sideline pass right on the money.
Had Chris Major, number 13, turned around. There's Testaverde. He's telling all those South Carolina fans, you yell as much as you want, and I'll come and do my thing. 1st and 10, Miami. Their own 33. They'll give it off this time to Williams, and Williams once again is hit behind the line of scrimmage and stopped. Derek Frazier came through and got him again.
Yeah, he's making his presence felt.
Just isn't much they can do for Testaverde, who's 7 out of 10 and around 100 yards. Frazier, a junior college transfer out of Atlanta, Georgia.
I think they better get Melvin Bratton back in there, get that running game going again, although these guys really haven't had a chance. I'm really surprised at how well South Carolina's playing the run, aren't you?
I am, and officially for Testaverde, he has 96 yards on 10 completions. They've made excellent plays, and then they've given up the game breakers. Second down, 11 yards to go. Testaverde with a play action. Here comes the rush again. He dumps it off for Oliver. And Oliver will get across the 40, very close to a first down at the 43-yard line. Robert Robinson and Willie Hill, the middle linebacker, came up to get him. Zip Zanders has not been in on the last couple of series, at 205-pound middle linebacker, but Hill at 232. The player they expected to start has been in there, and he carries a little more weight around at 235.
Well, he really does, but with Testaverde having so much time, the running backs are so versatile from Miami. They can run the ball, they can catch, and once they catch it, they're going to turn it upfield. They're going to get a lot of yards that way.
Third down, and now call it a yard from the Miami 42. Clock ticking away, 8:05 to go. First half of play from Columbia. Testaverde gives it to Williams. First down, almost broke it. Got to the 50-yard line where he's dragged down. Nice block again by Paul O'Connor, the right guard. Still playing with a bad shoulder. He had surgery on it in the spring, but it hasn't shown very much tonight. And that's a veteran offensive line. See Matt Patchen, 71, with just turning around to you. And their All-American candidate, Greg Riccozzi. Of course, Pat will talk about this a little bit more. They could have had 3 graduate students on that offensive line this year. As it is, they have one injured and one not with a glove anymore. First and 10, Miami, own 49. Testaverde is at a
Michael Irvin.
Half hits Irvin. Irvin's got room to run to the 25, 24-yard line. Brad Edwards made the stop. Oh, this is just pitch and catch here.
Well, Irvin's already beat him a couple times to the corner. Testaverde is just straight drop back. This is going to be splitting the zone with a post pattern. He set him up with a couple outside moves. You can't stop a guy like that.
Testaverde really on target. The ball at the 24. There's Irvin, who has already had 5 catches for 85 yards. Miami leading by 14 and bidding for more at the South Carolina 24. Oliver once again hit in the backfield. Shed Diggs was right on top of him. And South Carolina, I think, has changed his defensive philosophy a little bit. They're really coming hard on everything.
Well, they really are, but the problem is they're just not getting the pass rush on Vinny with a Y, Testaverde. I want to say one thing, Mike, about Michael Irvin. Such a great talent. I played all last year with Eddie Brown, who was with Miami a couple of years ago, who everyone thought was the greatest they'd ever have. But I'll tell you, Irvin could do it.
Irvin may give him a run for his money, and there's a good look at the young man out of Fort Lauderdale. 46 catches a year ago. He already has 5 tonight. Second and 12. Testaverde checking off the play as South Carolina showing a blitz.
Watch Irvin
and
to the
here
post.
They come. Testaverde wants to throw sideline complete. Nice grab by Warren Williams. And they say he was out of bounds. But still, what a good catch. This will bring up a long yardage situation, third and about 12.
Well, this looked like a great catch. He certainly threw it on the line. Warren Williams, had the ball, but didn't have possession. He got 1 foot down, which is good enough in college. But still, Mike, look at those running backs. That's a tough catch, even for a receiver.
Sure is. Third and 12. Williams out of Fort Myers, the leading rusher on this club a year ago. He's in the backfield with Oliver, and it's a passing down for Testaverde. 4-man rush, screen, Oliver, and they diagnosed it well. Good tackle, Zip Zanders over there on the coverage along with Frazier.
Mike,
and they held that time, Pat.
Well, one thing that, again, the defensive coordinator for South Carolina told me, Tom Gadd, he said they're going to try to disrupt Miami's offense by putting their backers and their corners up close and then dropping them off, making them audible. And in that case, he audibled right into their strength.
Seelig, who has only tried 2 field goals in his career, will come in to try number 3, and the ball is going to be spotted around the 35-yard line, so it would be a 45-yard field goal attempt. Kintai is the holder, and Miami only had 10 men on the field, and they had to call a timeout. 5:38 to go. First half, it's Miami 14 and South Carolina nothing. Good look at senior Mark Seelig, who will try the third field goal opportunity of his career. It would be the longest. It is a 45-yard attempt. The longest before he had kicked was 27. He's got the leg strength. And on this one, he puts it right through the uprights. And Miami will go on top 17-0 over South Carolina. Seelig, it was announced just before the game, had taken away the place-kicking job from junior Greg Cox, who had had a terrific career so far and probably still will at the University of Miami, but Seelig had done better in practice. Be sure to join us on Monday night. We'll be at Pitt Stadium in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The Terps of Maryland against the Panthers of Pitt. It's live 8 o'clock Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific. And at halftime of this telecast, a live interview with Maryland Athletic Director Dick Dull. We'll also have LSU coach Bill Arnsparger on hand. And we will see LSU a little bit later on, September 13th, in fact, when they play host to Texas A&M in Baton Rouge.
One thing I love about college sports, Mike, is that you can still beat somebody out during the season. That never happens in the pros, unless the guy's doing a poor job. Seelig came in, had a 45-yard attempt, and put it right through. It's a great night for the senior. Remember, his last kickoff, Mike, went about 6 yards deep from the 35-yard line.
Sure did. Really crushed it. There's Testaverde. Some Heisman stats in the first half. 10 out of 14, 131 yards. Sterling Sharp and Raynard Brown will be deep for Seelig to kick it away. And this is an important time in the ballgame, I would think, Pat, for South Carolina with 5:32 to go in the half. We really need to get something on the board. Anything, I think, would do.
Well, I'm a little surprised. I thought they'd have bigger kickoff returns than they've had. I think Miami's special teams got geared up for this game, and they're determined to stop Sterling Sharp.
Seelig will kick it away. Raynard Brown will have a chance from the 8. And a nice tackle inside the 20 again. And it was Bobby Harden. Let's go to Larry Burnett in the studio.
Okay, Mike, 17-0 in your game out there. Also 17-0 in Tallahassee, where Toledo is taking on Florida State. It was 3-0 Florida State in the second quarter. Dane Williams stopped at the line. No, here he goes, off and running 36 yards for a Seminole touchdown. It was 10-0 Florida State. It is now 17-0 Seminoles in the fourth quarter. Let's go back to South Carolina.
Rather unhappy South Carolina sideline right now, and Miami special teams have indeed been special. They have covered kickoffs beautifully. Todd Ellis going to work on the option. He'll keep it across the 20, dragging people with it to about the 25-yard line. And a nice tackle by Bill Hawkins, the right defensive end. Ellis, not known for his running ability. He ran the run and shoot in high school and piled up over 6,000 yards. But he is a big kid at 6'3", 203, and has shown us on a couple of occasions he can run it if he has to.
Well, the option is not something you learn overnight. I'm very pleased with the way he's been able to hold on to the ball when he needs to and pitch it when he doesn't have an opening.
And that gain helps South Carolina up to 23 yards rushing. With 5:03 to go, we have a timeout on the field. We'll be back right after this.
Okay, maybe the safety comes down.
South Carolina looking at 2nd and 3 from its own 25-yard line. 5:03 to go. And we've got Vic McConnell, 83, Jones Andrews, 17, Harden Brown, 11, and Raynard Brown, number 30, as the wide receivers for Todd Ellis. This is the second group of receivers. Ellis under pressure again, and they've got him from behind at the 24-yard line. And it's Greg Mahan. And they'll have to repair Ellis's jersey.
One key to the running game within the run and shoot is for the backs to pick up the blitzers, pick up the defensive lineman coming in. Green just didn't quite get his block there. And again, the pursuit of Miami is tough to handle.
It was Greg Mahan, 245 pounds. The guy that weighs that much, you want to get his name right. 3rd and 3. Harden is the man in motion. They try to get it on the run, and no dice. George Myra Jr. was right in front of Harold Green and stopped him at the 25-yard line, and South Carolina is going to have to kick it away.
Jimmy Jones.
One thing a lot of people don't realize about the run and shoot, Mike, is it's a possession-type offense. They've got to be getting 5, 7 yards on first down. They've got to complete more of their passes.
Boehm is in to punt.
You hope for a big play, but you've got to complete the short passes and break a tackle before you can do that.
Perriman is deep to receive at the 30. Now back to Mahon. I got his last name right, but I got his first name wrong. It's Gary. You'll protect me after the game, won't you?
Yes, sir. Oh, beautiful. Another
beautiful
nice
high spiral. Perriman signals fair catch. Signal a little late, but made it to the 32-yard line. And Miami will have 3 minutes and 41 seconds to put some more points on the board after a pretty 42-yard punt from Boehm. Stay with us at halftime. Larry Burnett and Bino Cook will update you on everything going on in college football, including an interview with Notre Dame head coach Lou Holtz, who's putting some fight back in the Irish, and we'll have some updates on the pennant race as well as the U.S. Open tennis tournament from Flushing Meadows. So don't go away. Stay with us for that. Highsmith and Bratton will be the running backs on this series of downs behind Testaverde. Hurricanes have it at their own 32. Play action. Here's the rush. Here's the screen to Bratton. Sidestep 2 players and gets up to the 35-yard line. Almost broke another one. Melvin Bratton, who already has 2 touchdowns on the ground, had a chance for a big one that time. David Root Beer Johnson was the man who came in there to make the stop.
Well, Mike, that's the advantage of having 4 or 5 great running backs. You can rest them. In fact, Miami, they like to call their 4 basic running backs the new 4 horsemen.
Testaverde 11 out of 15, 133 yards. Give it to Bratton again. Gaping hole up the middle, and Bratton lost his balance and went down at the 47. Maybe that's the hope for South Carolina's defense. Bratton is going to trip himself.
That's the only thing. He almost broke that big again. But when you got a big, strong offensive line like Miami has, you're going to blow open. So, Riccozzi hits 2 people. He rubs off one, takes the other, and Bratton's just got a wide open field.
It was a gaping hole.
I think I could have
12 carries, 69 yards. Well, maybe 5. Joe Morrison on the sideline. It has not been a pleasant first half for his run-and-shoot offense. They have not put anything on the board, and Miami has 17. Bratton again, another gaping hole. Cuts it to the outside. 40, 30, inside the 30 where Chris Major ran him down and threw him out of bounds. Oh, can this young man fly?
Well, he's well rested. He took off most of this quarter until now.
Run out of bounds by Major. First down.
Bratton now up to 93 yards after a 26-yard carry.
Well, he takes the ball deep in the backfield, and he's able to read this thing. You've got a strong line like they have. He's going to have a lot of running room. And now watch him get outside. Just outruns Chris Major. Although Major did come back to make a tackle.
That kind of speed on a 217-pound frame.
Hard
something to watch. First and 10 Miami at the South Carolina 28-yard line. Leading 17-0. They're bidding for more. Testaverde barely got the handoff that time, and Bratton was buried. Shed Diggs, number 42, again in the Miami backfield. It's almost all or nothing for that South Carolina defense. They're making tackles for losses or giving up big plays.
I agree with you, and the combination isn't going to win the game. They have to stop those big plays and make these plays where they throw them for losses. But I don't think it really worries Testaverde. I think he can drop back right now, and they'll just throw the ball.
We are just under 2 minutes. 1:58 to go. First half of play, 2nd and 13. Great first half for the Hurricanes of Miami, even though they had 2 turnovers.
Bratton again.
Bratton had it in his hands and let it go. Diggs was out there with him along with Chris Major. Let's check in on the sidelines with Tim Brando.
Mike, earlier in the telecast, we made the point about Vinny Testaverde, the audibilizing and the crowd factor. It's obvious he has that poise tonight. He's back in the groove. So maybe, just maybe, all of Miami and Vinny wanted to make us believe that it was, in fact, the noise, when maybe it wasn't against Tennessee at the Superdome. Certainly, he's got it in the groove tonight, doesn't he?
Well, you're right, Tim. And the other thing about it, their offense in leading 17-0, they've taken the South Carolina crowd out of the ballgame.
That's what you need to do.
Testaverde with 5 incompletions tonight. 3 of them have been dropped balls. And he didn't like the defense he saw that time. And he will use a second Miami timeout with 1:47 to go in the half.
Can he give it to
I know coaches don't like to see timeouts burned because they like to save them, but now we're inside 2 minutes, and you might as well use them when you have to have them. And Testaverde, very intelligent quarterback, because he has to be, because the Miami defense is so, or offense rather, is so complicated, and he saw something he didn't like, either a defense or where he had his guys.
I think that's the right move. They're down. This is a big play. They want to get it. They want to get it in the end zone one more time. They want a 24-0 lead. They don't want to. Again, they don't want South Carolina close enough where they can threaten them, because if this crowd does get in the game, it will make a difference. I remember we used to play the Steelers at Three Rivers, and you know, we'd go in there every year for Monday Night Football, and the first thing we'd want to do is score to take them out of the game.
Now, South Carolina has been taken out of this game both on the field and in the stands.
One thing I'll say, if Scott Bain wasn't having such a great game in his first game as a punter, I think the score would be a lot worse. He's really hit the ball well.
Always count on you to keep an update on the punter statistics.
Totally objective. What can I say?
Man punted for so long, that's all he watches anymore. 3rd and 13 for Miami. The attendance, 73,500. Here comes the blitz. Testaverde unloads and incomplete. And for the first time, he was really hurried, looking for Brian Blades on the sideline, and couldn't find him. And really, the first time that Testaverde looked like he was bothered by the rush at all. Seelig will come on to try a field goal, with Miami already leading 17-0. Jimmy Johnson talking to his quarterback as he comes off the field.
Number 94, Tommy Chaikin, got in there, put a lot of pressure on him from the left tackle.
This will be a 47-yard attempt. Seelig has already kicked his career best at 45. Out of the hold of David Kintai. Kintai took the high snap, got it down. And this one is short and wide to the right. So South Carolina has held with 1:33 to go, and Seelig misses a long, long field goal.
Here it is. You can't see it, but the snap was a little high. I think it threw his timing off a little bit, and he got his left foot, his plant foot, in front of the ball, and you can't do that.
Yeah, he knew it immediately. I think he knew it was short, and it didn't matter if it was off target.
Well, if you get that plant foot in front of the ball, you're going to lose your power, Mike. And, you know, 47-yarder, you need everything you've got.
South Carolina will go with Todd Ellis. 3 out of 11 again. Ellis sacked from behind and buried by Bill Hawkins, the right defensive end. And Hawkins is one of those guys who has not been getting all the preseason publicity, and he is turning in a whale of a game.
He's really been all over the field. He was very inexperienced. They really didn't know how he'd play. But he's made some big sacks, and he's been able to run down people. He's very fast for his size, 6'6", 245.
And he took on one of the most experienced defensive linemen, Curtis Hill, and just blew right by him.
They have a 3-man front right now on the defense. They've got their dime personnel in. They want to stop the pass.
2nd and 20. They go with the draw. And Anthony Smith will cross the 25 to about the 26-yard line. Darrell Fullington comes up to make the tackle. Fullington is a cornerback on the depth chart, but they are playing him a lot at linebacker in passing situations because he is such a good athlete against the run and the pass. As you see the clock ticking away. If you're South Carolina now on 3rd and 15, you just keep the clock running, or do you throw?
I think I'd have to get into halftime, regroup.
Ellis looks over the defense, a long signal count.
Comes the option.
And they'll keep it on the ground, and they'll break one this time across the 40 to the 44-yard line goes Anthony Smith. Bubba McDowell makes the stop. 21 seconds to go. The clock will stop as they move the sticks, and now South Carolina will stop it for another minute with a timeout. Smith has gained 35 yards, but he's had to do it on 18 carries. Or make it 6 carries, rather.
Well, the Miami defense is playing a little soft here. It's 3rd and long. They're looking for a pass. Just a handoff on the option, and he breaks it up the middle. Nice cut. That's a couple times Sterling Sharp has thrown good blocks. He's a real good player. There's no question he'll be in the pros. Number 2, Sterling Sharp.
Smith had one of those arthroscopic operations on his knee. It's still bothering him a little bit. But it didn't bother him too much on that run.
No, he was 4.6 in the 40 before, and they really weren't sure how he'd play tonight, but he's played well. But you have to have a hole. No running back's going to get any yardage.
21 seconds to go. South Carolina trying to get on the board. They're at their own 44-yard line. And the Gamecock trying to get the fans back in this one. They have been quiet most of the second quarter. Ellis has some time, guns it deep over the middle and short, trying to hit Sterling Sharp. Ellis may have been surprised he had time to pass that time.
Well, one of the keys to the Miami defense is outside pressure. They want their defensive ends to put pressure on the quarterback. And what gives them that luxury is you have someone like Jerome Brown, 98, inside a tackle. I mean, he can take on 2 blockers every play, frees up your outside rushers.
Ellis 3 out of 12 and has missed 6 of his last 7 passes with 16 seconds left in the half, 2nd and 10. Miami with a straight 4-man rush. They'll send Harden in motion. Ellis will keep it on the quarterback option across midfield, still on his feet. And there is a tough quarterback who did not want to go down. He gets to the 47-yard line as the clock continues to run. It's not a first down, and they will stop the clock with 4 seconds left. Benny Blades, one of several Miami defenders. And how often do you see that with a pass-oriented quarterback dragging 6 defenders with him?
Both of these quarterbacks can do it. They're both strong and big. Actually, you notice how that option play is working. That's a good part of their 2-minute offense, evidently.
Testaverde on the sideline.
He has to be happy with his performance.
We'll be going back to the studio, of course, at halftime. And we'll have Larry and Vino updating you on everything with scores and highlights. Todd Ellis, who has had a baptism of fire here tonight in his first varsity start in college, a redshirt freshman with all the credentials in the world out of Greensboro, North Carolina. 2 years ago, to many, he was the #1 quarterback prospect in the country.
I can't believe they seduced him away from North Carolina to South Carolina.
And they've got a backup quarterback, Pat Turner, who was also highly recruited. He is another redshirt freshman. 4 seconds left. It's 3rd and 1. Ellis under pressure again, sets up, fires deep sideline, almost intercepted, caught by Sharp. Fullington had it on his fingertips and couldn't hold it. But that will end the first half. With the score, Miami 17, South Carolina nothing. Pat, your impressions of the opening 2 quarters?
Well, I think it went pretty much as we expected. They established the running game, and Testaverde's had all kinds of time. He's throwing the ball well.
We're at halftime here with 17-0, Miami leading. Let's go back to the studio.
All right, Mike, we've got a good game going there in South Carolina. Lots of games going on tonight. We'll have scores and highlights. Bino Cook will join me at halftime. We'll also have a special feature on the new Notre Dame head coach, Lou Holtz. So we'll have that coming up on our halftime special. So stay with us right here on ESPN. Larry Burnett back here in the ESPN studios along with Bino Cook. Another game going on tonight, and it's a good one, and it's of interest to people, of course, in Florida. It's going on in Tallahassee, and it's Florida State taking on the Toledo Rockets. Those Rockets playing it pretty tough. First quarter, Toledo moving well. The Seminoles up 3-0. Here it is, 2nd and 5. Tailback Kelvin Farmer fumbles the football. Big scramble, loose ball, and the Seminoles come away with it. Didn't take them long to convert either, because just 3 plays later, they got on the scoreboard again. Here we are in the second quarter. Dane Williams gets the handoff from Chip Ferguson. Looks like he's down, but no. He keeps going, and the freshman rumbles 36 yards for the score. Eric Schmidt kicked the extra point. It was 10-0 FSU. And then later in the second quarter, Ferguson on the handoff to David Palmer. He runs into a wall, but he rolls off, goes 7 yards for the touchdown. The point after touchdown was good. It was 17-0 at halftime. It is now 24-0. At the fourth quarter spot right now as they're playing in Tallahassee. The Toledo Rockets playing tough, but not quite tough enough. And talk about tough. Florida State, a team that's got a tough schedule again, and yet everybody's picking them to be in the top 20. We've got them number 11 on our ESPN poll.
Bobby Bowden went to Florida State in 1976, and in his first 10 seasons, no team in the country has played the tough games on the road as Florida State has. They are going to Nebraska next week for the 4th time. In fact, Florida State is in Nebraska so much they can now vote in the state elections. They played 5 straight years at LSU and won 4. They played at Ohio State. They played at Notre Dame, and none of those teams has played at Florida State. It's unbelievable the job Bobby Bowden has done there. In my opinion, he's one of the best coaches in the country, and Florida State next week plays at Nebraska, North Carolina at home, and then to Michigan. It's unbelievable what that poor guy has to go through. And yet he wins.
Got their work cut out for him. All right, that's what the story is on Florida State. Let's take a look now at some of the games that are going on tonight, some of the games complete. Of course, the rival for Florida State is always Florida, and the Gators with a big win today over Georgia Southern. Not real tough competition to start things off. They win it 38-14. In other action, games going on tonight. It is Kansas State now way up on top of Western Illinois. That game at halftime, and it is 28-0. Ball State taking on Northern Illinois tonight, and Ball State leads that one by the score of 20-3. They are in the third quarter in Illinois. And Tulsa taking on Louisiana Tech. Louisiana Tech now on top at that game. It is 22-17. That is in the fourth quarter. Of course, the big game going on, it is 17-0 with the Miami leading South Carolina, that game at halftime. All right, when we come back, we're going to take a look at the new situation with the new head coach at Notre Dame. It's Lou Holtz, and he'll be talking with us when we come back here at halftime. So stay with us on the ESPN CFA coverage. Well, Jerry Faust is out. He has gone to Akron, and the new head man at the University of Notre Dame is Lou Holtz. Did a great job turning around North Carolina State, Arkansas. Did a great job in a couple of years at Minnesota. And now he's got his work cut out for him again as he takes over the reins of the Irish. We talked with him earlier this week in South Bend, Indiana. Let's take a look.
You know, he's a great man, great motivator. He's a, good football mind. And, we feel like, we're going to be, well coached and prepared. And we're going to be a, well-groomed football team when we hit the field this year.
He puts his foot down when he needs to, and he pats guys in the butt when he needs to. Coach Holtz is a real great man. He gives you a winning attitude, and his personality is just great.
It's just nothing to be but very positive, and we've got high expectations, and that's why the enthusiasm has been such a reversal for us.
Irish players, coaches, and fans hope to reverse the football fates of the past 5 seasons. Jerry Faust was at the helm then, fresh out of Cincinnati's Moeller High School fame, and he produced a 30-26-1 record, a winning record. Pretty decent by many standards, but not good enough at Notre Dame. So Lou Holtz was brought in from Minnesota to wake up the echoes of Irish football.
I did not want to leave Minnesota. It was very difficult to leave Minnesota. It was not difficult to come to Notre Dame. You perceive Notre Dame as being outstanding, as a beautiful place to coach, to live, to work, as part of the family. You hear it from so many different people. Once you get here, it's better on the inside than you perceive it on the outside, and that's really and truly unusual. There's family, there's caring, there's a great commitment to excellence here at Notre Dame, and I feel fortunate and flattered to be here.
3 days after he took the job, Holtz found out just how far the Notre Dame program had fallen. He watched as Miami handed the Irish a 58-7 defeat, the worst for Notre Dame in almost 4 decades. The Irish finished the season 5-6, well out of the bowl picture, and Holtz began his uphill task. Well, he's been on the job 9 months now, knows the Notre Dame talent is at best thin, knows that Notre Dame's all-time leading ground gainer, Alan Pinkett, has gone to the pros, knows he can't redshirt players at Notre Dame, and Lou Holtz knows full well that the Irish faithful are aching for a quick return to gridiron respectability.
I would say that there would be pressure. They say that the 2 most difficult jobs in the country are one to be president and the other one to be the football coach at Notre Dame. But I don't feel pressure. I think pressure is when you've got to do something that you're not adequately prepared to do, or that when you have to live up to other people's expectations. That's pressure. I can't live up to other people's expectations. 20% are going to like you no matter what you do. 20% are going to dislike you no matter what you do. And the other 60% is sort of going to evaluate you according to what you did the last time you were at bat. I feel an awesome responsibility.
Out of necessity, the Irish will have multiple looks on offense this season. Senior Steve Berline will guide the attack with his arm, and Tim Brown leads a receiving corps, which should be Notre Dame's most potent weapon in 1986.
We've got so many different options right now, receivers, running backs, and everything, that I think that it's going to be a lot more exciting football from us.
The defense has talent, but no depth. What it does have is intensity. And the Irish defense is optimistic despite the fact that Notre Dame has been written off by just about every preseason top 20 pollster.
You know what we can do. Everyone feels that we have the potential to be a great team.
We always hear so much about Notre Dame football tradition, and every time the Irish players go from the locker room down the tunnel to the stadium, they see it chronicled here on the walls. So many of the great games in Notre Dame football history. There's all the national championship teams from 1924 through 1977. And here's the Cotton Bowl game. Notre Dame beat Texas 38-10 to win that 1977 championship. As they walk out, here it is, Notre Dame tradition, give your best today. Yeah, give your best today. You can bet that Lou Holtz is going to be emphasizing that on September 13th when he brings the Fighting Irish right out of this tunnel to play Michigan. You got to wonder, what's going to be going through Lou's mind when he finally realizes a lifelong dream?
Probably I'll be scared to death, number one. And number two, I hope I would be like the players saying, what can we possibly do between now and the kickoff, which will be in 3 minutes, to better prepare us to win?
For inspiration, Holtz has pictures of Rockne, Frank Leahy, Ara Parseghian, and Dan Devine on his office wall. They all won national titles at Notre Dame. Holtz sought Parseghian's advice when he took the Notre Dame job. Parseghian believes that Holtz has the stuff to push the Irish back into national prominence.
I really do. I've been impressed with Lou. He's fundamentally sound. He's a good motivator. I think that, and I've said this, I don't like to make predictions, but I think within 3 years, he'll have Notre Dame in a major bowl. And in addition to that, he could surprise a few people this year.
For his part, Holtz admits to being caught up in the tradition and the mystique of Notre Dame and its football. He admires the great coaches who have preceded him, but he doesn't seem obsessed with joining their elite company.
All I want to do is do a good job for Notre Dame and win. And I don't care if anybody knows that we ever coached at Notre Dame. I'd like them to talk about our players and about the university and not about the coach.
Lou has mellowed a little bit in that job. The one-liners don't flow quite as freely anymore. He's thinking about what he says, but I said in the piece that most top 20s have left Notre Dame out. We put them in on the ESPN poll. Are we wrong?
No, Notre Dame will win 8 games. Lou Holtz is an outstanding coach. He's never been at a school where he's had better material, eventually he will have, than the opponents. William & Mary, North Carolina State, Arkansas, not that many blue-chip players in Arkansas, and then at Minnesota. Now he's at Notre Dame, and he will win. Now this year, sure, they're thin, but thin in Notre Dame standards. I think they could beat Michigan. And I think that eventually he will win a national title within 4 years because he's going to get the players. Players still come to Notre Dame. It isn't 9 out of 10 the way it was 40 years ago. It's 8 out of 10. And the quarterbacks will be there. I think Steve Berline will have an excellent year. And as I said many times, this guy can coach. It's the 3rd toughest job in America. Mayor of New York, President of the United States, and then head coach at Notre Dame.
All right, that's the story on Lou Holtz. We've got some first-half highlights coming up from the Miami-South Carolina game, and we'll get into that when we come back here in the ESPN studios, so stay with us. Pretty good game going on in South Carolina. It is 17-0. I guess a good game if you're a Miami fan, not so hot if you're a South Carolina fan. Let's take a look at what happened in the first half to put those points up on the board. Miami got on the board early and often. This is Melvin Bratton taking the handoff, gets a good block, and he cuts outside. Going to go 34 yards. Why not jump into the end zone? Yes, give him a 9-5 on that. It was 7-0 Hurricanes. He had 2 touchdowns. Meanwhile, South Carolina had a tough time. Todd Ellis is intercepted by Benny Blades just inside the sideline. He had 2 first-quarter interceptions. Jimmy Johnson pretty happy about all that. Don't forget Miami's big gun is Vinny Testaverde. 3rd and 22. When all else fails, throw the ball. That's what he did to Mike Irvin. 30-yard gain. That drive ended in a field goal to make it 17-0 Miami. South Carolina coach Joe Morrison not real thrilled about what has been going on in the first half. Miami gets it going in the rain, in the sloppy conditions there at South Carolina. Testaverde's looking pretty good.
Outstanding, and it's amazing. In this decade, Miami has had 3 outstanding quarterbacks, Jim Kelly, Bernie Kosar, and now Testaverde. He looks absolutely superb. He's more mobile than Kosar, and he can hit the player on the sideline, as McNally said, and a tremendous player.
I get the feeling that the longer the game goes, the better it is for Miami.
Oh, yes, it looks, I'm afraid, my prediction looks bad, 23-20. But it's a long, long season, and I will come back and tell those guys in the booth, don't chuckle at me. Before it's over, I will pick more right than they do.
Well, we're going to keep track. Oh, was it Arizona State, the national champion in 1984?
Yes,
that was your
yes,
pick. Yeah,
yes, and they were losing 41-3 at half.
We'll keep track of all of these, Bino. All right, we're going to come back as we count down to the second half in Columbia. We'll be back in just a second. All right, it is 17-0. Miami leading South Carolina. They're playing at Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia, South Carolina. In case you're interested, A lot of people are talking about Miami possibly winning a national championship. They may have a tough time winning the Florida championship because they play Florida next week. Florida beat Georgia Southern today by the score of 38-14. And don't forget, Florida State's got a hot team, too. And it's tough to get out of the Florida, let alone winning the national championship. Bino and I will be back throughout the second half. We'll also have all the scores and highlights in the post-game show. Let's now go back to Columbia, South Carolina.
Thanks very much, Larry and Bino. It's Miami 17, South Carolina nothing at the half, and the score, Pat McAnally, indicative of the dominance that the Hurricanes showed in the first half. Take a look at the first half statistics, and it was all Miami. The run and shoot has not done very well in the first half.
Well, Joe Morrison's got to be frustrated. Right now, he's got to start getting the ball to the wingbacks. That's what the offense is built around. That's Sterling Sharp and Raynard Brown. I think Todd Ellis is playing well. He's been cool. He just hasn't been able to get the ball to the right people. Defensively, they've got to start blitzing and pressuring. They've got to get to Testaverde. The problem is, Mike, then the running game is going to break some big plays.
If you're the Miami Hurricanes, do you want to do anything different in the second half? Or if things are going well, if it's not broken, don't fix it?
No, I think they're playing great, obviously. They're doing what they wanted to do. Coach Johnson said they were going to come out and run the ball this year. And when they've needed to throw it, Testaverde's been right on target. I think he's heading for the Heisman Trophy. I really do.
Well, he also said they were going to take what the defense was going to give them, and they have done that tonight. Right now, let's go down on the sideline to Tim Brando.
All right, Mike and Pat, thank you very much. And the two wild-eyed Irishmen and yours truly will be packing our bags and headed to Pittsburgh for a game on Monday night that you'll see here on ESPN, a game between the Maryland Terrapins and the Pittsburgh Panthers. In that game, we'll see Charles Gladman, who is trying to become the first running back since Tony Dorsett at Pittsburgh to have 2 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. Now, all of that is coming up on Monday night here on ESPN as Pitt takes on Maryland. We'll also have a chat with Maryland Athletic Director Dick Gull at halftime, as well as Bill Arnsparger, who will be featured, of course, on September 13th when the LSU Tigers take on Texas A&M. We'll have a live interview with Arnsparger, who ruffled a few Tiger feathers when he at least made a trip down to Florida. His name had been mentioned for the athletic directorship of the Gators. He has since withdrawn his name from consideration. So all of that is coming up here on ESPN as our CFA coverage continues, and it all continues on Monday in Pittsburgh. We're ready now for the kickoff of the second half.
That plane, I think, is 7:40 in the morning. We're going to have 15 minutes to go as we start the third quarter. It's 17-0 Miami over South Carolina, and the Gamecocks will have to kick it away starting the second half. And Scott Hagler will be the man to do the kicking, number 16. Miami will set to receive. Got David Kintai and J.C. Penny back to receive. Penny, a junior, 5'8", 187. He's standing at the goal line. And Penny will have a chance to bring it back from the 5. Comes to the near side, had a little seam, almost broke a tackle, got to the 27-yard line. And if you saw the halftime statistics, you knew how dominant Miami was. Here is how they did on their different possessions. Got a little bit of a slow start and a couple of turnovers, as you see the first fumble, but the second time they touched the ball, they went about 60 yards for a touchdown to take a 7-0 lead. Then they scored after a turnover to go up 14-0. Then they fumbled the ball away and got the field goal on their next to the last possession. Had a scoring chance on their last possession, but missed it. Testaverde brings them out from his own 27-yard line, and he's got a slot back to the right. He'll give it to Highsmith. Another gaping hole off the right side. Chris Major with a hit, the fumble, but it's going to go out of bounds and retained by the Hurricanes. Once again, Paul O'Connor, 77, the right guard, and Matt Patchen, 71, the right tackle, just leveled everybody on that side.
Well, there was no question coming into the season that Miami had a tremendous strength in the middle of their line, and if these running backs get out in the open field, they're just not going to stop them. This is the lucky break here, though. This could have been a turnover.
13-yard gain for Highsmith. He has 20 yards on the evening.
And he doesn't fumble often, Mike.
Out of the eye this time, 1st and 10. They'll give it to Bratton, who's had the 2 big plays. Cuts inside a tackler and gets to the 49. Pretty move by Melvin Bratton, brought down by Willie McEntee and Zip Sanders, 81, the middle linebacker.
Doesn't he remind you a little bit of O.J. Simpson, the way he runs like slop-like. Those feet are just out there, his legs, and he makes such great cuts.
Really has the moves. And as you can see, Bratton with 100 yards rushing on 8 carries.
Go to the Hall of Fame with stats like that.
You bet. Second down, a yard to go. We're just in the opening moments of the third quarter. They'll give it to Highsmith. Bratton with the lead block. First down into South Carolina territory at the 41. Chris Major upended him, but not before they easily had the first down.
Again, Mike, this puts tremendous pressure on a defense. When you have a fullback that can take the ball outside like that and can break up the middle on the quick openers, it's just awfully tough to defend him.
And they've been doing it most of the night. South Carolina's most effective run defense was when Warren Williams and Darrell Oliver were in the Miami backfield, but they have not been able to stop Highsmith and Bratton. Another first down, Hurricanes. And Testaverde to throw for the first time in the second half. Throws short and behind. Bratton coming out of the backfield. Sanders was out on coverage. Really only the second bad ball Testaverde has thrown tonight.
Well, Zip Sanders was an All-America 2 years ago in high school. He's got great speed. He better at 210 pounds.
Yeah.
But my favorite thing about him is his hobby is talking on the telephone.
Something you can do virtually everywhere, I guess. 13:40 to go. Third quarter out of Vienna, Georgia. 2nd and 10, Miami. South Carolina really needs a break here. Inside handoff to Bratton. Stood him straight up. Nice play by Shed Diggs, who's had a pretty good ball game from his weak side linebacker spot. He's very quick at 206. Again, as Pat said, if you want to be a linebacker and you're 206 pounds, you'd better be quick or you're a little slow in getting up. And Shed Diggs is this time. He's made several good hits.
It just cuts inside. And that's the amazing thing. Again, Miami's backs are so fast, but they're so strong. It's like their defensive backs. They're very fast, but they're hitters also.
They're talking to him. It looks like Diggs is going to be just fine, and we have a timeout on the field with Miami up by 17.
The CFA on ESPN is being brought to you by Today's Chevrolet, who invites you to live the style, performance, and fun of Chevrolet in '86.
Miami with a 17-0 lead in the football on 3rd and 7 at the South Carolina 39-yard line.
Watch a blitz here. Here they come.
Testaverde with time, far side, complete. Just threw another strike to Perriman. And the South Carolina defensive backs just really have to feel under so much pressure from Testaverde and the receivers that just have so much speed.
Well, South Carolina tried to blitz and put some pressure on him, but again, you're not going to guard these guys man-to-man. He just runs them off. They have so much speed. The defensive backs got to respect it deep, comes back to the ball, and that is a bullet.
Robert Robertson, number 36, laying way off on that one. And it's a first down for Miami at the South Carolina 29. Testaverde again dumps it to his tight end. The big guy has it, Charles Henry, and he stopped at the 2-yard line. And I was just about to say something. They've been going to the wide receivers and totally ignoring the tight end because they didn't have to, and then they waited for the right time.
Well, Miami's always gone to their tight ends. Willie Smith was an All-America last year, has their all-time number of receptions. There you go. You've got him beat on the outside. They've hurt him outside, and he went inside to the tight end. It's tough to guard the whole field.
Nice move to get away from Greg Philpott and get inside the 5.
By the way, they're high on Henry.
Testaverde 13 out of 20, 171 yards. First and goal. Full house backfield with Urban on the wing. They'll give it to Bratton looking for his 3rd touchdown. He's got it. Melvin Bratton has scored his 3rd touchdown of the night, and Miami jumps on top 23-0. And the line has done just a tremendous job in opening up holes for that young man.
Well, that's what's great about their line, Mike. They pass protect so well, and yet they're great run blockers. They just blow them out here. Again, with light linebackers like South Carolina has, it's awfully tough to stop them. Miami's strong in their offensive line, and they're experienced.
Dave Alekna, number 73, the left guard, did a nice job pulling. The point after is right through, and Miami builds its lead to 24-0 with 12 minutes and 13 seconds to go in the 3rd quarter. South Carolina will have a chance with the ball when we come back. 12 minutes, 13 seconds to go. Third quarter of play from Columbia, South Carolina, where the Gamecocks trail the Hurricanes of Miami 24-0. Mark Seelig to kick it away. Sterling Sharp and Raynard Brown are the deep receivers, and Brown at the goal line. South Carolina needs a big return, and they are not going to get it. And once again, Miami with tremendous downfield coverage on the kick teams stopped them at the 15-yard line. Bubba McDowell, defensive back, down for Miami on the tackle. The scoring drive was maybe the most impressive of the evening. It took 2:47, 8 plays, 73 yards, and Bratton capped it off with a 2-yard run. First time in his career he has scored 3 touchdowns in a ball game. He had 2 in one game last year against Maryland.
Let's go, go!
The pitch out, fumbled. South Carolina will recover at its own 9-yard line. Anthony Smith dropped on it after the ball bounced off of him.
Anthony Smith.
South Carolina just having a lot of trouble on offense. Joe Morrison looking at the sideline, wondering what he can do to get his club's run and shoot offense going. Loss of 5 on the last play. They'll send Raynard Brown in motion. And Ellis back to throw from his own end zone. Under some pressure, gets it out, complete to Sharp. Sharp driven out of bounds to the 15, so they're back to the original line of scrimmage. Don Ellis on the coverage, the freshman All-American, who's now a sophomore. And here's the way it has gone for South Carolina, and it has not gone well. First couple of possessions, it looked like they would do something, but they have not been able to get any points on the board at all. And there are those 2 interceptions you see from Ellis. And the others have been a few plays and punt, and that's it. 3rd and 9. Ellis needing a first down badly. Under pressure, hit from behind as he unloaded. Jerome Brown, the Outland Trophy candidate, got him from the blind side. He had his man open, but he couldn't hit him because of the pressure.
Ellis to Sharp.
Well, Jerome Brown, so strong, so fast. Just an arm over move. There's no one's going to touch him. That should have been a sack.
It was close enough. And we'll have to have Boehm kicking from his own 5-yard line.
They're coming again.
At his 45. Got away. Not a great kick, but he got rid of it, and it'll go out of bounds at the 43-yard line. Make it the 38-yard line of South Carolina. A 22-yard kick for sophomore Scott Boehm, and Miami will have tremendous field position once again.
Well, Mike, sometimes you don't block the punt, but if you cause it to be a 22-yard punt, you've done your job. Just in there, 3 or 4 guys unblocked. That's awful tough on a punter.
Lonely feeling, isn't it?
Yeah.
Boehm got it away, but only a 22-yard kick. So Miami will take over at the South Carolina 38. Alonzo Highsmith and Melvin Bratton behind Vinny Testaverde.
Irvin
deep over the middle, and Irvin couldn't quite get it. Right behind him, Shed Diggs, the linebacker. And they actually had triple coverage, and still Irvin was open. Testaverde just missed him that time and still has some glorious numbers.
One thing Jimmy Johnson told us before this game, Mike, is they're going to run their offense no matter what the score is. You know,
that's right.
If they have their reads, they train their quarterback. If there's something open, they're going to take it.
And they also feel that Testaverde's numbers are going to come down this year, which might hurt him in the Heisman race, because if the defense is playing pass, they're going to go with the run, and he won't have that many opportunities.
Could be an audible right here. Be man-to-man coverage on Irvin down at the bottom.
2nd and 10. They show a 4-man rush and come with it, and they throw it right over the middle, and Irvin has the ball inside the 25. Nice call, Coach.
Thanks. Think how good a receiver I would have been if I had his speed. I can sure call him. He audible his man-to-man coverage. Chris Majors, really, it's a tough job to take him man-to-man. Just a great throw by Testaverde. You got to get that ball on a hard line and low like that.
It was a good job by Major. He was right with him. Thrown that well, defensive backs can't do much, and Irvin goes over the 100-yard mark on the night with 6 catches. 10:49 and counting, 3rd quarter. Miami bidding to build on a 24-0 lead, and Testaverde for the 2nd time tonight doesn't like the defense he sees and calls a timeout.
I'll tell you, Mike, they came here to win. I think that Sugar Bowl loss really left a bad taste in their mouth. And Testaverde is so disciplined. That's the thing about their quarterbacks. He went up there, even though it's, you know, they have a big lead, 24-0. He called the timeout. He wants to run the right play. Got to respect it.
And what kind of a tradition have they had? I mean, they had George Myra in the early 60s, and then Miami football fell in sort of a state of disrepair. But look what they have come back with Kelly, Kosar, and Testaverde. Now, that's a pretty decent string.
And I think Vinny's going to pass them all up. He's going to be the leading thrower in this school.
He should hold just about every passing record there is by the time he leaves. He only has 3 interceptions in his last 7 regular season games in 1985. He has really come on. And this is a young man who did not have a chance to play hardly at all.
Well, that's amazing. What's amazing about his story is he actually was going to transfer if Kosar hadn't gone to the pros. Or even worse, he was going to switch to tight end. Can you imagine him at tight end? That's frustration.
And here's the wave at South Carolina. They're doing anything they can to get their team pumped up. Right now, Miami is doing everything they can to bury the Gamecocks. Testaverde to throw. 4-man rush. Dumps it. And Bratton can't get to it. Shed Diggs again once out there on the coverage. And Diggs has done a nice job tonight.
He really has. And that was good. That was good defense. They bluffed blitz. They made Miami audible into a bad play.
2nd down and 10 yards to go. With 10:41 to go, 3rd quarter. Mike Patrick, Pat McAnally, and Tim Brando. Nice you could be with us on a Saturday night from Columbia, South Carolina. It's a little chilly here, temperature in the 60s, and we've had quite a bit of rain. The field appears to be in excellent shape for all the rain that we've had. 2nd and 10, Urban goes to the slot. Parham in the wide receiver to the near side, and it looked like Testaverde changed the play again. Under pressure, steps away. Under pressure again, and he'll go down this time. Tommy Chaikin was the man who missed him to begin with, and then Chaikin came back and got him.
One thing I have to say something about Chaikin. Unbelievable defensive lineman. He was nationally ranked as a junior tennis player. How many defensive linemen play tennis? He lettered in high school. Good job by Testaverde to break this tackle. But again, when they've gotten him, it's just been superb defense by the secondary. He had no one to throw to. Those are the only sacks they're getting.
Also had Derek Frazier in there, who's had an outstanding ball game at defensive end. Good look at Chaikin out of Bethesda, Maryland. Only had 1 year of high school football. 3 wide receivers in for Miami on 3rd and 19 from the Carolina 34. Testaverde unloads, looking for Blades, and he can't get him at the 5-yard line. Good coverage again by Chris Major.
Man-to-man on Blades. That's an outstanding job. But again, look at that throw by Testaverde. I mean, just inches away from another big play.
Major's shown everybody a lot tonight. He can play with anyone. And here comes Seelig, who will try one from long range this time. He kicked a 45-yarder, 1 out of 2 so far tonight. Missed from 47. This will be from 50. Out of Kintai's hole. This one's got a chance. He got all of it, and it's good. And that is why Mark Seelig won the place-kicking job. And Testaverde is the first man to greet him on the field as Miami takes a 27-0 lead. They're starting to roll it up on South Carolina with 9:46 to go, 3rd quarter. Seelig set to kick it away as Miami has taken a 27-0 lead on his 50-yard field goal. Raynard Brown and Sharp are deep. One correction on a statistic we gave you earlier about Melvin Bratton. He has 3 touchdowns tonight. He does have 1 4-touchdown game to his credit. He got 4 of them against Boston College. This is Raynard Brown struggling for yardage, and once again, Miami's kick coverage has pinned them inside the 20-yard line. Kevin McCutcheon again on the tackle. That's the 3rd stop he has had on special teams. And Pat, what is amazing about that is they're kicking off from the 35-yard line and still able to hold them inside the 20.
Well, Mark Seelig's having a heck of a game. You know, he just barely got the job this week. He now has 3 field goals in his career at Miami. 1 in the 30s, 1 in the 40s, and he just hit 1 in the 50s. Pretty amazing.
Ball spotted at the 17-yard line. Harold Green, the single running back behind Todd Ellis, who was 5 out of 15, 45 yards and 2 interceptions. Good pass down the sideline that time to Smith. And Danny holds on to the football at the 35-yard line. Benny Blades, the free safety, made the stop. And it's really the first time they've been able to go downfield with any success. Tim Brando's on the sideline. Tim?
Mike French Sadler, the offensive coordinator, said all we need to do, guys, is put 2 good plays together back-to-back as we did on our first series. If that happens, we'll get cranked up. The run and shoot obviously was built for Todd Ellis, but let's not forget that Turner, the backup, is an outstanding backup. We could see him later.
They'll send Sharp in motion and go straight up the middle on a running play that's not going to get much. Green gets a couple. Bill Hawkins in on the stop.
You know, Mike, what's interesting is Jim Kelly tutored the Miami defense about, you know, with the run and shoot that he ran in Houston. Obviously, he must have done a pretty good job. I think he's got a future as an assistant coach.
He may have a future as an owner with the contract he signed. 2nd and 6, South Carolina. Sharp in motion again. They run the option, and Green almost able to break it, but Jerome Brown had a couple of big meat hooks around an ankle and brought him down. And Jerome a little slow to get up.
You know, it's really difficult on this Miami team to be a star. They have so many great players.
Right.
Jerome Brown's going to have trouble getting the big award, the Outland Trophy, just because he has so many people around him.
Well, look at Hawkins. Hawkins has been everywhere. Ryan Bethea goes to the top of your screen as the wide receiver. Ellis has not had much success getting him the ball, and he is a big play person. Sharp is the wingback on the right side. That's the man they really want to get the ball to as much as possible. And Sharp has it. Double team, got the first down, driven out of bounds at the 49. Randy Shannon, the first man on the hit. Also over there was Don Ellis, and Ellis has been everywhere the ball has been tonight. Really a lot of pressure on redshirt freshman Todd Ellis out of Greensboro, North Carolina, to play a defense as great as this in your first college game in front of 75,000 people.
He's done a good job. He's made very few mistakes. The problem is they're not putting points on the board.
Ball at the 49. They send Sharp in motion, so they have trips left. 4-man rush. Ellis throws again, complete this time to Ryan Bethea at the sideline. Picks up about 9. It's the first time South Carolina has put first downs back-to-back since the first quarter.
Well, they're getting a little momentum here, but I'll tell you, Mike, the problem with Miami is they're going to stay intense. They're a hungry team, and it's tough to make big plays against them.
Ball just outside the Miami 41-yard line. Ellis brings them up. Green is the remaining back. Ellis will keep on the option, and he looks like he has enough to get the first down. And it was Rod Carter, the weak side linebacker, who made the stop, along with Hawkins. And it is a first down for Todd Ellis from South Carolina. That's the 3rd on this drive. They really need something like this, Pat.
They do. They need some confidence. They've got to move the ball. Because if Miami scores again, they're in big, big, big trouble. Right now, they still have a chance, but they've got to establish themselves.
And there is the average first down gain for South Carolina. A lot of that has to do with incomplete passes on first down. Ellis,
Sterling Sharp,
pressure, and dropped by Sharp. It was right there. The coverage by Randy Shannon, number 22. Stubbs was the man who was trying to drape himself on Todd Ellis. And Stubbs, who had a dozen sacks a year ago, is the man who goes after the quarterback.
Let's watch Todd Ellis rolling out. It's a half turn. There are people all over him. He's really mature, and he gets nailed. He put that ball right on the money. Really should have been caught by Sterling.
Sterling Sharp should have had that one. Yeah.
But they need every catch they can get.
2nd and 10, South Carolina. White is the man in motion to the near side. They'll run the option. Ellis, oh, tough pitch. And Green looked like Ozzie Smith reached out with one hand, picked it off, and Darrell Fullington buried him as soon as he touched it. Dangerous toss by Ellis, and just a great play by Green to avoid the fumble.
Well, they're going with the option again. He keeps right here. He should have just held on to the ball. This is an incredibly difficult toss. Great catch by Green. Saved him. It could have been a big turnover.
As soon as you catch those, though, you go, uh-oh. Looked like a team picture of the Miami defense. It's 3rd and 10. They'll send Sharp in motion. 3-man rush. Flag is down. Ellis will try to run, but you can't run too far with 285 pounds of Jerome Brown hanging on. We'll check the flag for you. It would bring up a 4th down situation. And it looks like the call will go against South Carolina. No, it goes against Miami, offside.
Mike, on that play, You know, Ellis rolled left. He only had one receiver, Danny Smith, running a comeback on the sidelines, and Miami had him double covered. He didn't have anyone to go underneath to, and consequently he had to tuck it and try to run.
So South Carolina will get another chance. Here's the call.
All sides on the defense. Third down.
Miami's last shutout was against Cincinnati, 38-0. That was at home in the Orange Bowl in October.
What they're not doing, Mike, is in a run and shoot, you have to flood zones. You have to put pressure on those defensive backs, and they're not getting 2 and 3 people and putting pressure on them.
3rd down and 5 after the penalty. Miami showing a 3-man rush. Sharp goes in motion. One throw screen. Ellis is going to be buried. Jerome Brown just pushed people out of the way, and the defense must have done a great job at covering the screen because Ellis had nowhere to go with it.
Hawkins again, though. Another great play. Took the screen right away. He is all over the field right now. This is screen all the way. He sets. Look at Hawkins all over the receiver. And then that was very close to a face mask. He had his helmet.
Jerome almost got more than the quarterback. Bain to punt, and they block this one, and it's caught in the air.
Hawkins again? What a game he's having.
Hawkins catches the ball in the air. The block was by Bubba McDowell, number 48, who came from the far side. He had been close at least twice before. That time he got there, and it was caught in the air by Bill Hawkins, who almost achieved the lineman's dream.
Ironically enough, this, you know, it was just a matter of time before they blocked this. It wasn't even the biggest total rush they had on him. Just one man came clean, and Hawkins right in the right position. Mike, sometimes you just have those dream games, and Bill Hawkins is having one right now. Again, great dive to block that ball. Great individual effort. Sometimes the ball bounces your way, Mr. Hawkins.
Last year, Hawkins dropped on a blocked punt in the end zone that closed out the scoring against Notre Dame. So he seems to be in the right place at the right time on blocked punts. And there is Bubba McDowell, the man who blocked the kick. Another turnover. And Miami in great field position at the South Carolina 26-yard line. And just when it looked like the Gamecocks had something going, it goes the other way by about 75 yards. He continues to operate. Touch of one to Bratton. And he throws near side, complete to his tight end, hit Charles Henry. Chris Major on the tackle.
Mike, the thing about that play by Bubba McDowell is, you know, he's a nickelback. He's probably a little frustrated he doesn't get a start on defense, but he'll contribute any way he can, and that's really the spirit of this Miami team. They are unified.
One way to get more playing time is turning in big plays like that.
That's right.
4 minutes, 35 seconds to go, 3rd period. Miami 27-0 over South Carolina. Testaverde approaching 200 yards now, 196 yards on 15 out of 25.
Watch Alonzo. Oh, they're going to go with the pass.
And a very balanced attack, too. Here's a little screen, and nobody out there for these guys to block. It's Highsmith. Touchdown.
A dive, another dive. They must teach that to the running backs.
I don't think I have ever seen a screen pass where there were 3 blockers in front of the receiver and they had to go 10 yards to find somebody to hit.
Well, they set this up great. I called it to Highsmith up the middle. I thought it was going to be a trap up the gut.
O'Neal, Alekna, and Rakosi were out there all alone with Highsmith.
It's just you can't set a screen up any better than this. Now watch this blocking. Now, would you want to tackle someone 240 yards coming at you with that speed? They didn't even get a shot at him.
Chris Major at 180 pounds on a 5'9" frame just didn't have a chance. He was double teamed out there. They came with the blitz, and what a great call and what great camera work on that isolation. Here's the point after. And Miami has pulled it up to 34-0. Greg Cox came in, and he attempted that point after and gets his first point of the ball game. 4:16 to go in the 3rd quarter. Miami on a roll.
I called a...
Miami kicking off. Raynard Brown at the 1-yard line. And they have managed to pin them in the corner. This time, however, Raynard Brown gets out across the 20 to the 24-yard line before he is driven out of bounds by Eric Ham, reserve fullback, the sophomore. And the scoring drive only took 47 seconds, 26 yards in 2 plays, and a great screen pass. Alonzo Highsmith on the pass from Testaverde. And here comes the second unit defense in for the Hurricanes of Miami. Jimmy Johnson wants to give everybody as much work as possible. Ellis out of the run and shoot that has produced not many yards and no points. Ellis on a roll, looking, throws for White. White driven out of bounds at the 24-yard line, just about the line of scrimmage. A flag is down on the far side of the field. Looked like it was motion against the Gamecocks, and now the signal from the official, it is going to go against Miami. Let's go to Larry Burnett in the studio.
All right, Mike, it's been a great day for Florida football fans, college football fans. Not only are the Canes winning big, Florida beat Georgia Southern today, 38-14. Florida State topped Toledo by the score of 24-0. Kansas State leading Western Illinois 28-0. That one's in the third. It is Ball State on top of Northern Illinois by the score of 20-3. That one's in the fourth. Let's go back to South Carolina.
Thank you, Larry. 4 minutes, 6 seconds to go, third quarter. South Carolina 1st and 5 now from their own 29. That's Brown in motion. Ellis, that little half roll complete to Sharp. That'll be a first down at the 35-yard line. Darrell Fullington out of New Smyrna Beach, Florida on the tackle.
Mike, both Floridian teams throwing shutouts right now.
That's right. Seminoles have had a great program for a long time now. And Miami just having a superior start in the season where a lot of people think they have a legitimate shot at the national championship. South Carolina has to entertain a couple of giant visitors in here in the next 4 weeks. The pitch is fumbled. Hardin Brown got a hand on it, but the ball's knocked out of bounds. Fullington was over there. The hit made by Rod Carter.
One thing I don't think you'll see by the Miami defense is a letdown, Mike.
There is Vinny framed by that scoreboard that has his offense's 34 points on it. And then Melvin Bratton comes in and steals some of the limelight, but you can't take the numbers away. 212 yards for the Heisman candidate tonight.
I saw in front of that camera. They love the camera.
Second down, 8 yards to go. Ellis throws incomplete this time, again looking for Sharp.
Ellis. Sharp, incomplete.
And Don Ellis was out there on the coverage. Been a long night for the former New York Giants star. He instituted this run and shoot offense in the hope that he had the skilled people to really make a difference, because South Carolina is smaller certainly than Miami, and they are not going to push them around on the field, and they might have to use their speed to beat them, but the Hurricanes have proven too tough tonight. 3rd and 8. Ellis sends Sharp in motion. Under pressure. Got him again at the 25-yard line. Jimmy Jones, a 241-pound freshman. He was going step for step with Todd Ellis on his drop.
Oh, defensive linemen love this. A clean shot. He's just going to come in clean. Oh, welcome to college football, Todd Ellis. Oh. He's a tough kid, though. He got up. Can't believe he didn't fumble.
Sack for Miami. They'll have to punt it away. Scott Bain is back to kick. He'll hit it from his own 15. Perriman, the deep man, takes it at the 31. We'll have a chance to run one back. And he'll get about 3 yards out of it to the 34. Good coverage by South Carolina. Gamecocks will start from there after a 43-yard punt and a 3-yard return. 2:29 left to go. And Pat, let me ask you a question. You're South Carolina. What are your goals right now? Even though, I mean, they'd like to go home, I think, right now, down 34-0 and forget about this. But you've got time left to play, and you want to accomplish something in it.
Well, Joe Morrison told us before the game that he was going to stick with Todd Ellis. They need to get the offense down. They need time and experience. I think they better start recruiting.
The other question is, how long will Vinny Testaverde remain in there? He's got Oliver as the lone running back, and Oliver has the ball across the 35 to about the 37-yard line.
I imagine this will be his last series. They promised Toretta that he's going to get a play. You know, they recruited him out of JC to back up Vinny, and I think they're going to give him a shot tonight. This will be his last series.
Roy Hart, who started 2 years ago at left tackle, made the stop on that one. Miami just so strong in virtually every department. 1 minute, 57 seconds to go. Third quarter, Hurricanes up 34-0. 2nd and 7 for Testaverde from his own 37. They'll give it to Williams, and Williams gets to the 39, picks up 2 more. Good stop by Brad Edwards and Shed Diggs. And there's the South Carolina sideline, and you're not going to see too many smiles over there, down 34-zip. They had hoped for a return to the kind of year they had 2 years ago when they shocked everybody in the country, going 10-2. And they've got some good skill people and a very young team. They're going to win some games this year. 3rd and 5, Miami. Out of the eye. Testaverde with that arm guns a deep sideline, and Perriman got turned around a little bit. Earl Morrall, the former great Colts quarterback who was the quarterback coach in Miami for a while, said that Testaverde had the strongest arm he had ever seen. He said he saw him throw the ball flat-footed 70 yards. And of course, you don't throw the ball 70 yards too often. Not much of a call for it. But the thing about it, you can throw the deep sideline pass and the 20, 25-yard routes over the middle if you got a gun like that.
All that weightlifting's paying off.
Jeff Feagles to punt, and Sharp waits at his 20.
Well-rested leg.
Feagles sails one.
Great punt.
Sharp has to retreat and falls at the 13-yard line. And South Carolina is in a hole after a fine punt, 47 yards by Jeff Feagles. Hope you can be with us tomorrow. We've got from Darlington Raceway, the Southern 500. Live NASCAR action at 1 o'clock Eastern time. And those guys really go at it, and Darlington is a racetrack that can really produce some chills. Bill Elliott won $1 million at Darlington a year ago, one of those bonus deals.
Going back to Testaverde and what Earl Morrall said about him, it's pretty amazing. He said he's an incredible combination. He has the athletic ability of Elway, that moves, he can move around like Montana, and he has the quick release and strong arm of Marino. Sound good?
And in a year, he is going to have the money of Pat McAdoo. There's Anthony Smith. Good run for that young man.
Well, he's had a couple opportunities to break off some plays, and they've all been on options.
Under a minute in the 3rd quarter, and they moved the sticks. A first down for South Carolina at their own 29.
It's so tough to play right now, Mike. It's really tough on South Carolina.
You've got to try to accomplish something here. I'd love to get on the scoreboard and get some confidence in that offense. Sharp comes in motion, and Ellis throws quickly to Sharp. Across the 30, 32-yard line. Fullington has it, along with Tolbert Bain. Also, Kevin McCutcheon in on the tackle. Now, I thought we were going to see a little more of that from South Carolina, those real quick passes to get those dangerous guys the ball.
The problem is they've been throwing these passes to people like Sharp, and they're almost lateral. They don't have a chance to break some tackles and go north-south. Now, tell me Miami's laying down. Look at how many tacklers will be in on this play. 3, 4. Stubbs came from left defensive end to make that tackle to help out.
Gain of about 4 yards, and that will make it 2nd and 6, but it's the end of the 3rd quarter, and our score here in Columbia, South Carolina, 34-0 Miami. Set to start the 4th quarter in Columbia, South Carolina, where Miami is running away with it, 34-0. Todd Ellis, as the faithful from South Carolina are headed home, maybe to watch the 4th quarter on ESPN, because this one is virtually over for their club. Ellis throws. Nice toss that time to Danny Smith. Took it at the sideline. Let's go down to Tim Brando at the sideline. Tim?
Mike, Jeff Toretta, whom you see behind me now, is going to be going in on the next series for the Miami team. Last year, Vinny Testaverde was the only player on the roster. Jimmy Johnson went to a junior college to find a youngster that was a quality player, one that could take the team on for the national championship possibility if Testaverde went down. He's a solid player, and the offense won't go in a shell when he goes back in.
I think it's a tribute to Miami's program that they're going to put Toretta in the ball game rather than try to run up the statistics for Vinny.
They look pretty good as they are, though, Mike.
Don't they? And we've got a whistle. A flag goes down that stops the play. And they didn't get it off in the 25 seconds. So this will cost him 5 and make it 3rd and 11. a relatively, except for that one short stretch, a relatively penalty-free ball game.
Third down. Both teams have they've played well in that regard, but just so one-sided.
Third quarter statistics, and look at the total yards from Miami. Already 335, and they have held South Carolina to 36 yards on the ground, and better than that, 89 yards in a run-and-shoot offense. It's quite a tribute to that defense. Ellis on 3rd and long. Deep sideline this time, and it's caught, but at the sideline. Thought he was throwing to Sharp, but the ball zinged over Sharp's head, and Bethea made the catch. Kevin McCutcheon had to make the tackle.
Well, Mike Ellis has shown that he can go down the field with the ball when he has time. Here's Miami secondary just dropping back into a zone. And this is how you beat a zone. You have a great throw, and you have a receiver that puts his body between the defensive back and the ball.
That's a fine throw.
And a good catch.
1st and 10. South Carolina at its own 45. Miami showing a 3-man rush. They'll drop 8 to cover. Quick pass tipped in the air. Dan Stubbs got a hand on it, and it was a free ball for a while.
There's a case where they put Stubbs at right defensive end. They can move him on either side. Guy can, you know, he doesn't really want to commit to either side. He can play either one, and he wants it.
And he doesn't want to come out of the ball game.
I think he wanted to intercept that thing.
Well, there's Vern. He's everywhere.
He's got a lot easier job than the other mascot, huh?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, Vern just has the smile pasted on there. And Vinny has a smile on the sideline. He thinks his job is done for the evening. Option play again. They'll toss it out to Anthony Smith. Smith driven out of bounds to the 45. Carter was over there along with Cilio. Tough job for Smith being the lone back. You don't have a lead blocker out there, and especially against the Miami defense that just seems relentless.
You don't mind being the running back if they're throwing the ball well and there's some big holes up the middle.
3rd and 10 for South Carolina at its own 45. This is Sharp in motion. Miami again with a 3-man rush.
Go to Sharp.
Almost intercepted. That one was tipped by Tolbert Bain. Got a fingertip on it.
4th down.
Tolbert Bain, Bain is a pretty good athlete. In high school, he went to the state finals in the hurdles, the long jump, the high jump, and the triple jump.
That's not bad.
I'd say he can get up in the air, wouldn't you? No wonder he tipped it.
Bain will have to kick it away again. He has averaged with that one poor punt 30.4, and Perriman drops to his own 16-yard line. Bain, another pretty kick. Hangs it high. Perriman, fair catch, 15-yard line. And Bain, except for the one that he had blocked, has done an excellent job. 39 yards. One young man still in South Carolina that's happy, but he's wearing a Hurricane hat. It's 34-0 Miami.
Are you anything like my brother Jack?
ESPN's coverage of the CFA is being brought to you by Mazda Cars and Trucks. The more you look, the more you like Mazda value. And by your local Safeco agent.
Mike, I'm really surprised they still have Testaverde in there right now. One injury and he's out for the game. You know, he might be out for the season.
That's right, and Toretta was warming up on the sideline. We thought he would see him probably the next series. Testaverde to throw. Near sideline, complete to Perriman. Shakes one tackle to the 35-yard line. Quick move by Perriman. The last time South Carolina was shut out was in 1981 when Georgia was able to do it 24-0. That was at Athens. Testaverde now 17 out of 28. 232 yards and a touchdown. Really been impressive. Ball spotted at the 35. Back to throw. Under some pressure. Another screen. And this one too far for Oliver. Now, there is Toretta on the sideline. He's going to get his chance soon. And, Pat, I've got to ask you, some people are going to say, why is Miami throwing the ball up 34-0?
I agree with them. I think they should get Toretta in there, get him some experience. I mean, it's not so bad if he throws the ball. He's got to get ready to run that offense in case Vinny gets hurt later in the season. I don't like this.
Last time South Carolina was shut out at home was 1972. And they've got 13:05 to go in this ballgame. They certainly don't want that to happen to them again. Of course, Jimmy Johnson said he is going to run his offense. If whatever the defense is going to give them, that's what he's going to take. And right now, Testaverde wants to throw over the middle, a little high that time. Once again, he was throwing from Michael Irvin and overthrew him. And Testaverde knew he made the bad pass on that occasion. It's been a big night for the Miami offense, the defense, and particularly the special teams, which sometimes in college is an area that's overlooked a little bit. But they have played superbly on special teams. Great coverage. They blocked the punt. You couldn't ask for much more.
Hit some big field goals.
Yes. 45-yarder and a 50-yarder. 3rd and 10 right now. South Carolina with a straight 4-man rush. Testaverde with plenty of time to throw and overthrows this one, looking for his backup tight end Alfredo Roberts. Greg Philpott on the coverage that time. And Miami will have to punt it away, and a smattering of applause from what's left of the South Carolina home crowd. Sharp is going to go deep to take the punt of Jeff Fiegels. There's Sharp. He is a game breaker.
South Carolina's got 10 guys up on the line. They're going to go after this one, Mike. Oh, now they're dropping out.
Fiegels with a good snap, plenty of time. Line drives this one a little bit. Sharp had a run at it, fumbled and recovered in his own 32. And the Miami cheerleaders just about the only people making noise here with their Hurricanes up big. 34-0 over the Gamecocks of South Carolina. They have the football with 12:48 to go in the ball game. Todd Ellis in his debut, 11 out of 25, 107 yards, but 2 interceptions. And Ellis back to work. Throwing deep sideline this time, has a man out there, and a great catch by Danny Smith. If Ellis had been able to get him another couple of yards, that one is a touchdown. A 40-yard gain.
Well, Danny Smith's pulled down some good passes. Watch Todd Ellis get hit after he throws this ball. This is a great delivery, but I'm guaranteeing you he didn't see it get caught.
Oh. Jerome Brown just
There's the
decked
throw.
him.
It's just a great effort to come back and catch this ball.
Now that's really a mark of a good quarterback, to know you're going to get hit by a guy who weighs almost 300 pounds, who's got a head of steam, and still stand in there and deliver. Ball at the Miami 29. This is as close as South Carolina has gotten. Complete this time to Sharp, and Sharp will be driven out of bounds at the 23-yard line. And it was Bubba McDowell, who's had a big night on special teams, that did the job on coverage.
I'll be honest with you, Mike. What I expected to see from South Carolina were more routes by Sharp and Brown on the inside, where they'd be able to catch a 10-yard hook, go inside, outside, where they have the ball and they get a turn upfield. He has no chance to turn this ball up and break some tackles.
That's true. 2nd and 3 right now for South Carolina at the Miami 23. Ellis is going to have quite a career here. Arden Brown is the man in motion. They'll give it to Smith up the middle, and Anthony gets a couple near the 20. Dan Stubbs on the stop for Miami.
Well, part of the problem, I think, Mike, is that their motions are giving away a lot of the plays. Every time the motion man goes behind the fullback, they know it's going to be some kind of option, and I think they're just coming up. They're forcing.
He runs a different type of motion, doesn't he, when it's going to be a pass?
Right.
Pass play.
He comes in just behind the quarterback when it's a pass, and behind the running back when it's going to be an option.
3rd and 3. They're at the Miami 21. That motion would indicate pass, and that's where Ellis is going on the roll left. Throws deep, and it's intercepted. Picked off by Tolbert Bain, and the 2 South Carolina receivers split, and Bain was left in the middle, and the pass hit him in the chest. The 3rd interception of the night for Todd Ellis. I think somebody may have run the wrong route there.
I think they did. They got a little confused. Tolbert Bain, though, he's a good player. He's a little underrated. He's a 2-year starter. He's a great man-to-man coverage. Here we'll see it from the end zone. Todd Ellis, plenty of time on this play. They're double teaming Brown. Throws the ball. There's just a miscommunication between the receivers. Easy interception. I'll tell you, Mike, I think he could have taken that ball and gone about 40 or 50.
He could have, too. And Jeff Toretta junior college transfer out of California, will get his chance to play with 11:03 to go in the fourth quarter. Give it off to J.C. Penney, and Penney shows his stuff to the outside, gets to the 38.
You never know what's in store when J.C. Penney comes in the game. Oh, I've been waiting for that one, Mike. My parents taught me to use puns when I was very young.
Well, we can't go back and change that, I guess, but we can chastise you severely when you use them.
One thing about Torretta is his first play last year, he threw an 80-yard touchdown pass. So he can put the ball up, too.
Not bad. Torretta recruited with the understanding that he is one play away from replacing Vinny Testaverde on a possible national championship team. He wants to throw, hit from the blind side, and drop. David Johnson, the left defensive end, got to him.
We'll see on this replay that Torretta gets a nice welcome into the '86 season. David Rootbeer Johnson with a big hit, untouched. Those are the easy sacks you like to get.
By David Johnson.
Ball at the 30, second down, 17 yards to go. They're going to let Torretta run the offense. They're not just going to fall on the ball. So they owed that to him. This is Oliver on the draw. And Oliver isn't going to go anywhere. Fitzgerald Davis will bring him down. And I recall doing a game 2 years ago when they led Maryland 31-0 at the half, and they were blowing the Terps away, and they lost that game. So you can understand that Jimmy Johnson might be a little nervous about sitting on it.
I guarantee it won't happen tonight.
No, not with 9:24 and counting, and 34-0 lead and having the ball. Ball's at the 33. 3rd and 14 for Jeff Torretta. Straight drop, plenty of time. Looked like that ball slipped out of his hands and it's intercepted.
This could be a touchdown.
Robert Robinson gets to the 5-yard line, and Torretta was the man who knocked him out of bounds. It looked like the pass slipped out of his hand, and Robertson was playing underneath and made the catch.
That's the longest pass play of the night.
24-yard return for the sophomore.
He has a little pressure on him right when he releases the ball. Not a real tight spiral. He had a receiver open, but he threw into double coverage. Nice run.
Had a correction on the last time that South Carolina was shut out at home. It was 1972
Watch
against
as
Mississippi.
he has to sidestep the defensive man here, and he just doesn't have a good release. He's fallen away from his throw. That usually means interception, Mike.
South Carolina with a chance to get off the dime. Ellis calling the signals. And they'll give it to White. That's the first time we've seen this formation. And maybe the last, as White has dropped at the 7-yard line. Now that was an offshoot of the wishbone there where they had everybody in the backfield.
I think you had to be here to really feel the intensity of this Miami team. They came in here determined that they were going to show that they were going to have one of the best teams, maybe not of just this year, maybe one of the best teams of the 80s. 22 returning starters.
That's right.
Tremendous individual talent. They'll get a test next week, though.
Now, White, you might watch for him. He's a former quarterback. He can throw on an option play like that. It's 2nd and goal from the 7. Trying to take advantage of the turnover, and Hardin Brown is the man in motion. Blitz, and the pass is incomplete. Almost picked off by Tolbert Bain. Bubba McDowell also on the coverage. And Ellis just under a lot of pressure, unloaded in a hurry, and it'll bring up 3rd and 7. $8:16 to go.
Mike, you know, it's really tough to run and shoot inside the 20-yard line because you can't spread the people out as much, and you don't have as good a running game. So it might be tough for him to put it in the end zone right now.
3rd down and goal from the 7. Hardin Brown, the man in motion. And knocked down. Sharp was open, and a nice play by George Myra Jr., the middle linebacker. I think Ellis thought he had a touchdown. There is a flag down.
Well, the interference was on the other defender. Myra made a great play.
Yeah, it was not George Myra Jr. who got the hand up and knocked it away.
Interference. Defense, it's a spot foul, it's a first down.
It is a first down, automatic, and here's the look at it.
Well, Ellis drops back. Again, they're coming strong. He throws the ball. Oh, they tackled. Yeah, they tackled him, but a great play by Myra. Look at, here's a starter. It's 34-0. 8 minutes left in the game, and he's playing his heart out.
First and goal from the 1. Green. He may have lost a half a yard. Vic Morris, reserve linebacker, came in, a senior out of Deerfield Beach, Florida, nailed it. That's what it sounds like, and George Myra Jr. got his money's worth on it, too. They spotted at the 1 at second and goal, and Miami is playing this series for pride, as is South Carolina. They'll go with a wishbone backfield, a full house this time, and they'll lose 3 yards as Don Ellis came up and really stuck Hardin Brown.
Donnie Ellis is going to be a future All-America. There's no...
Listen to the way this one sounds.
He was freshman All-America last year. He can cover anybody in the country man-to-man. Now watch this hit. Listen to it. That's a defensive back, Mike.
And it hurts worse than it sounds, too. Now they're back to the 4, 3rd and goal. Miami really showing a lot of guts right here. Ellis wants to throw for it. Over the middle, it's complete touchdown. Hardin Brown. Well, you have to feel good for South Carolina getting on the scoreboard and avoiding that shutout. It's got to make Todd Ellis feel a little bit better.
Well, he's hung in there. He's throwing the ball well. Ellis with a little half roll left. You can't see it, but the defenders are picked off, and he makes a nice throw. A little low, but Hardin Brown make a great catch.
Good catch by Brown.
Definitely was. A little misdirection pattern.
Scott Hagler going for 81 straight points after. And he's got it. The record 125 by Uwe von Shaman in Oklahoma. 81 straight for Hagler. South Carolina on the board. They're down 34-7. 6:57 to go in the ball game, and Miami will kick it away, or South Carolina rather will kick it away to Miami 34-7. You go for the onside kick. No, you kick it away. And it's J.C. Penney, a yard deep. Almost broke it, got out to about the 18-yard line. Zip Sanders down on the tackle. Take a look at the scoring summary. This is the way it went as Bratton, who has had a 3-touchdown ball game, ripped off one for 34 yards in a 7-0 lead. Then Bratton again from 11 yards in the first quarter. It was 14-0 Miami. Seelig with a 45-yard field goal, the longest of his career, made it 17-0. Bratton again, this time from only 2 yards out, 24-0. And we'll update you on the rest of it in a moment. Jeff Toretta, the quarterback, gives it off to Penny, number 21, who's in there at running back right now, and Byron Love makes the tackle. There is a flag down on the play at the 19-yard line on the far side. And it's going to be a hold against Miami. Check the rest of the scoring summary in case you joined us late. Seelig, who had kicked a 45-yarder earlier, got a 50-yarder this time to make it 27-0. Alonzo Highsmith on a screen pass from Testaverde with great blocking, and it was 34-0. And then finally South Carolina gets on the board on a 4-yard touchdown pass from Todd Ellis. And that's how we arrived at this 34-7 score. Second down, 19 yards to go for the Hurricanes. Jeff Toretta, the second-string quarterback, has replaced Testaverde. And we had a little motion there before the snap. McEntee charged across the line of scrimmage. Let's see if he was offsides or it was drawn off. Getting a little sloppy here at the end, and it's offside against South Carolina.
You know, Mike, South Carolina did score a touchdown, but I think it took them 6 plays inside the 10-yard line to do it.
It did. It was a great goal line stand by Miami.
Took a great pass and catch to get it in.
It's offside against the Hurricanes. They'll spot the ball now at the 14-yard line. They'll get it off to Penny, trying to get to the outside. He has running room to the 20-yard line. Brought down by Norman Floyd out of Greenville, South Carolina, and Zip Sanders back in there at middle linebacker number 81. Well, Pat, everything they told us about Miami has been true. They are loaded.
No question about it. They'll have a couple tough games this year. They have to play Florida, Oklahoma. If they can get past those two, you're looking at a national championship.
Well, that's saying a mouthful there. 5:55 to go in the ball game. 34-7 Hurricanes. 2nd and 7, and Toretta wants to throw. Plenty of protection on the roll. Now he's going to keep it. Toretta gets him out of bounds near the 25-yard line. It'd be about 3 yards shy of a first down. Shed Diggs, who's been all over the field, ran him out of bounds. Miami ranked 3rd in the Associated Press poll this week, 7th by UPI. And here is that schedule. They will be at Florida next Saturday, always a tough place to play. Then Texas Tech, then the big meeting with Oklahoma. And after that, they've got West Virginia, Florida State, and Pitt. They've got a shot, as most people felt they would at the start of the year, of going undefeated, or at least going 10-1, and certainly going to another major bowl game. 3rd down, 3 yards to go for the Canes. And once again, a flag goes down at the start of the snap or before the snap, and it's starting to get a little bit sloppy here at the end. And it's a delay against Toretta. He didn't get it off in time.
That's exactly the way they want to give Jeff Toretta some playing time, Mike. And just in case something does happen to Vinny Testaverde, they've got to go to someone. And I might add, it's incredible.
Play of game, offense, 3rd down.
In junior college, he threw for 2,500 yards and 24 touchdowns. I would say Toretta can put the ball up.
I think he can.
With those receivers?
Oh, yeah. 3rd and 8 now for Miami. 5:43 to go in the ball game. And the Hurricanes have been very impressive in their opening performance. 3 receivers to the near side. And Toretta back to throw a short drop against the 4-man rush. Then he hustles out of the pocket, and he's brought down from behind. And the man who got him was Kevin Hendricks. Number 98 grabbed him around the ankles, got some help from Byron Love. And Miami will be forced to kick it away as Jeff Fiegels comes on the field and Toretta trots off. Sterling Sharp is the deep man, standing at his own 35. That's Sharp, number 2. 6-foot junior. South Carolina with a 10-man front.
Here they come.
And here they come. And they got it. The ball got past the line of scrimmage and will go out to the 37-yard line, but it looked like Zip Sanders was the man who got through and got a piece of the punt.
It almost looked like he missed the ball. I don't know that it was blocked or if he just mishit the ball.
Maybe we can pick it up on the replay.
Snaps a little low. No.
That was just a low kick. Got it off the toe.
Well, he was a little hairy, didn't catch the ball real clean, and I think he just missed the ball. He just got it. He might have been lucky. Got it underneath the guy's arms. He might have blocked it clean.
Oh, I figured as a punter, you'd say he planned that. Saw the rush and got the ball down. Timeout with 4:53 to go. It's Miami over South Carolina.
Let's go, Todd!
There's the story. 4 minutes and 53 seconds to go. Miami on top of South Carolina, 34-7. The Gamecocks have the ball deep in Miami territory. Ellis under pressure. And throws complete at the Miami 34-yard line to Andrews. Bubba McDowell on the coverage, but a good scrambling job by Todd Ellis to get him the football.
Well, Todd got a little taste of college glory. He had his first touchdown pass last series. I'm sure he'd like to tack another one on the board.
Kevin Jones, a freshman running back, a redshirt freshman out of West Columbia, is in the ball game. And there is Zip Sanders. Looks like he's headed for the locker room. They'll run the option. Pick up a couple, and that was Jones. Dan Cilio makes the tackle, and the clock ticking down now to 4:09. And it looks like they're going to have to measure for the first down here. Well, we have the chance, like to thank our statistician tonight, Chuck Freeby, who's going to be working with us for 16 more ball games, and our spotters, Rich Dalrymple and Jimmy Higginbotham, done a great job for us, and we really appreciate their help. Jones, who is the running back for South Carolina, was the state's running back of the year in 1984 in South Carolina. Getting a chance to play a little bit here in the last 5 minutes. Third down, a yard to go as they come up a little bit shy, and Ellis will lead them out.
Well, Mike, would you play action and go up top? Or would you go
I
for the
would.
first down?
Sharp goes in motion, and that's what they'll do. Ellis wants to throw the football, throwing for Sharp, and he's got it. Sharp at the 10, 5, touchdown. And Ellis a little slow getting up. He was nailed when he unloaded. Well, I told you that's what I'd do. Ellis is up and walking off. They'll come out to attend to him. And he threw a strike to Sharp and a great catch, too.
That's what I'm talking about. They got to get the ball to Sterling Sharp, north-south.
Right.
Give him a chance to make the runs. And Sterling Sharp, number 2, at left of your screen, is in motion. He'll just split the zone. This great catch. Now watch an athlete at work. That's what they need to do to this guy. Get him the ball. Let him run.
Ellis now 16 out of 32, 3 interceptions, 188 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
And a lot of bruises.
Hagler will go for the point after. Strong leg, and he booms it through. 82 straight in his career. And South Carolina, with 14 points here in the fourth quarter, has made it a little more respectable at 34-14.
Here's Todd Ellis again. He's, just gets hammered, but he put that ball right on the money.
Really got it in the chest and the ribs. And it was Greg Mark, the man who really laid the timber to him. We'll be back with more in just a moment. Scott Hagler to kick it away for South Carolina. J.C. Penney standing in his own goal line. High floating kick, and Penney will have a chance from the 9.
See you later.
Has a seam. And Hagler is the man who made the tackle. The kicker got him around the ankles. It sure was. And Penney showed you the speed he's got. Is Miami loaded or what? A 36-yard return.
Well, he was close to being a starting halfback. He was nicked up a little bit, injured. Now watch the speed and the cut. He almost broke this all the way. This is a nice play. It's a great tackle.
Nice tackle by Hagler. Toretta will have the ball at his own 46-yard line. 3:35 to go in the game. Miami by 20. Oliver. It's up about 4. Let's go down to Tim Brando on the sideline. Tim?
Well, actually, I'm in a seat. You know, when this game got underway, Mike, there were 72,400 people here. And, of course, with the rain and the score being lopsided, many of them left. And I know you're warm and snug where you are. But somebody tell Bob Uecker I'm on the front row.
Better seats than Euchre's ever had. 3:05 left in this game. First time you've sat down tonight, isn't it? Toretta running the Miami offense now out of the eye. And they'll give it to Penney. Cuts back inside, really stacked up at his own 48-yard line. Big hit by Derek Little there. Little, who was switched from defensive end from Athens, Georgia.
One thing the South Carolina defensive coordinator, Tom Gadd, was worried about, and it's proven true in this game, was they really hadn't tackled running backs. You know, they were, every day in practice, they were playing against the run and shoot. They weren't taking on people like Alonzo Highsmith and the type of center and guards that Miami has out on the field. It's tough to tackle those guys when you haven't practiced.
It was tough to tackle them tonight in the game.
It's unbelievable.
2:34 left.
David Kintai.
And David Kintai being attended to, number 11. You see him coming across the field. Kintai, a senior from Satellite Beach, Florida. And he appears to have injured his right wrist. And he'll be attended to as they'll bring him to the Miami sideline as Toretta took that opportunity. They've got it supported. He already had, of course, had it taped. And just hope Kintai is going to be all right.
Now, he's the holder, isn't he?
Sure. Very important. A good backup receiver, but very important as the holder. Here's Toretta on the roll, throws incomplete. Oliver may have short-armed that one a little bit.
To Oliver. You'll never hear me ever abuse a receiver. I don't believe that receivers ever have alligator arms.
You reach the arms all the way out, and it leaves the ribs highly exposed. Sharp will go deep as Fiegels is on to punt again with 2:19 left.
Maybe Sterling could break another one right now.
He'd love to do it. Standing at his own 10, and South Carolina shows another 10-man rush. They almost got the last one. Another low snap, and they almost got to this one, and Fiegels really crushed it out of there. Sharp will let it go over his head, and it dies at the 10-yard line. Great job by Fiegels that time. He got it off after a poor snap and really crunched one. 2:10 to go. It's Miami by 20. Candidate Vinny Testaverde on the sideline, who did absolutely nothing to hurt his chances tonight. 17 out of 31, 232 yards and a touchdown. South Carolina with the football. Ellis on the roll. Wants to go deep this time, throwing for Bethea, and Bethea on the tip pass made the catch. Bubba McDowell thought he had the interception, got a hand on it, and excellent concentration by Ryan Bethea to make the grab from Todd Ellis. Columbia product.
You pray for those, Mike, as a receiver.
Yeah. It's the second time Bethea has shown great concentration tonight. 1:49 and counting. South Carolina trying to get its third touchdown of the fourth quarter. Ellis. Good move to get away. Guns this one. It's tipped again and almost intercepted by Danny Mariscal. Sophomore linebacker from Key West had his hands on it. Greg Mark was pressuring Ellis. There are the stats on Ellis.
Closing the gap on Benny.
He really is, and I'm sure he's disappointed that he couldn't get his club on the board early when it really mattered, but he's getting some excellent game experience, and you've got to remember that this is the first time he has played in a college game. He has all the tools you'd ever want in a quarterback. 2nd and 10. South Carolina from its own 44. Ellis a little screen this time. Complete to Harold Green. And Green gets up to about the 48. Tim Brando down at the sideline or in a seat. Tim?
David Kintai injured his elbow. He felt something pop on an attempted tackle. He's very upset. They're taking him right now down to the locker room to have it x-rayed. That's the story on Dave Kintai here in the latter moments of this one.
Well, we certainly hope he's going to be all right. And there he leaves the field, and they've got it in the sling. Ellis, sideline way overthrown, intended for Bethea.
Ellis to Bethea, incomplete.
And we're down to 55 seconds. Coverage by Basil Proctor, a freshman from Miami's Edison High School. And just about everybody right now getting a chance to play for Miami and South Carolina. And it's 4th down and 5, and South Carolina will go for it from midfield.
I agree with that call, don't you?
Sure. Ellis trying to keep the drive alive with 55 seconds left in the game. White is in motion. Ellis bombs away, and it's picked off by Tolbert Bain. Bain trying to get a block, almost lateral. The ball gets back to the 14-yard line. The pass was intended for Ryan Bethea. Kevin White also in the area, number 6 down there. And the second interception for Tolbert Bain.
They just don't stop coming at you. Did you see he actually wanted to lateral that ball?
And Jimmy Johnson is telling him, I think, don't think about it again.
I think he was mad that the last time he downed the ball in the end zone after that interception. He could have run. This time, he tried to break it.
Joe Morrison on the sideline. 39 seconds left. Miami will have the ball. Toretta gives it off to Penny. Penny with room to run to the 24, 25-yard line before he's stacked up by Matt McKernan.
Penny has that extra sense.
Oh, another one.
He's my
We're going to
favorite.
start keeping a pun list for you.
Punishment.
Yes. Penny with 36 yards on the ground tonight. Clock running with 26 yards to go. First down, Miami. Penny again. Cuts it back inside. Very shifty runner out to about the 33. And Matt McKernan again makes the stop, and that should be the last play of the ball game. Miami very impressive, and Joe Morrison will come from the South Carolina sideline. There is Jimmy Johnson, the winning coach, who picks up his 19th victory against only 7 losses, now in his 3rd season with the Hurricanes of Miami. And as the coaches shake hands in the center of the field, this one is history, and the Hurricanes have taken that first big step on the way to what they hope will be another banner season and a possible national championship. Pat, they've got all the weapons.
Well, there's no question about it, and I can't stress the importance of what a team they are. I mean, they are unified with a goal. They want a national championship. Vinny wants his own. You know,
Sure. We'll be back to wrap it up from Columbia, South Carolina, where our final score was Miami 34, South Carolina 14, right after this. Score from Columbia. The Hurricanes of Miami 34, the South Carolina Gamecocks 14, and they got those 14 after Miami had already salted it away. Our Hartford Insurance Group player of the game is junior running back Melvin Bratton. 10 carries, 105 yards. What an average of 10.5 yards and 3 touchdowns. And when this young man gets within 5 yards of the goal line, he is going to score. Watch the leap. Would do a triple jumper proud. Melvin Bratton with one of his 3 touchdowns on the night, and he is our Hartford player of the game, averaged 10.5 yards a carry. Coming up next, the Hartford Insurance Group College Football Scoreboard. We'll update you on everything. Johnson leaves the field, shaking hands with Joe Morrison after a 34-14 Miami Hurricane victory. For Pat McAnally and Tim Brando, this is Mike Patrick saying so long from Columbia. Now let's join Larry Burnett and Bino Cook for the Hartford Insurance Group College Football Report.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome joining us on the Hartford College Football Report. Thanks for being with us throughout the evening. Bino Cook and I are here to bring you up to date on what's been going on in college football. We've got some highlights and some other things we think you'll be interested in. First of all, we want to talk about Florida State because the Seminoles had a big win as they kicked off their season with a victory over Toledo tonight. We've got highlights from that game. We'll take a look at it. We'll pick it up in the first quarter action. That game played at Tallahassee. First quarter action, the Rockets is the University of Florida. The Gators going to be Miami of Florida, winners over South Carolina in our game here on ESPN by the final score of 34-14. So the Canes doing nothing to hurt their chances of moving towards a national championship. And what about Vinny Testaverde? Let's go to Tim Brando live in Columbia, South Carolina.
All right, Larry, thank you very much. I'm sitting here next to Vinny Testaverde, who had an outstanding game. The numbers were posted. They were quite good, and the noise factor was quickly taken away.
Well, we expected them to come out and be real noisy, but if our game plan worked, which it did, we'd quiet it down quite a bit, and we did.
Vinny, it appeared that Mel Bratton's running, especially early, opened it up for you in the second quarter, and then the whole package came to the forefront.
Well, I think the big key was the offensive lineman. We worked all week on the running game and to try and do good to take some pressure off the pass. With respect to South Carolina and their defensive setup, what were they giving you and what were they trying to take away early in the ballgame? Well, they were trying to show some blitz, and once I put my hand on the center, they'd back out and everything was fine. You know, they had some crowd noise at the beginning, and I put my hands under and they backed out and the play was able to work. We talked about your dream at the outset of this telecast tonight, and obviously it's a good start on the run for the Heisman, but this team this team spirit is spread around. I mean, you guys have a real good atmosphere here. No one's very jealous of any other player.
Well, there's no reason to be. For one, because I don't think about the Heisman that much at all. If I'm going to win it, it's going to be a team effort, and that's the only way I'm going to get it. We got a lot of talent in this team, and we can go a long way as long as we can continue to work hard.
Doesn't get too much harder, though, does it? Florida next, huh?
Oh, geez, that's going to be a tough game. Hopefully we correct the mistakes in this game and go on and play some good football throughout the season.
All right, Benny, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Great start for you.
Thank you. I just want to say hello to some people back home and my girlfriend.
Let's go. Oh, yeah, her too. Let's go back to Vino and Larry.
All right, Tim, thank you very much, Vinny. Interestingly enough, the first couple touchdowns that Miami scored, the defense got the ball for him and set it up, and that's got to be pleasing for Jimmy Johnson because there's going to be times that offense is going to get shut down.
Well, Jimmy Johnson went through agony in 1984, his first year as head coach at Miami. First, they blew that lead to Maryland and lost, I believe, 42-40. No school had ever blown a lead that big in NCAA football. Number two, the miracle pass by Doug Flutie. And then he lost the Fiesta Bowls. I think the score was something like 37-35 on a field goal by Lee, UCLA. So he had a tough time. But now he had an excellent job last year, had an excellent team, and now the defense has looked good. Last year looked good. It looked good today. And he's done a great job, and you have to feel happy for him because those 3 games in 1984, I know he did not sleep for weeks at a time.
And here's a guy, too, who came out of Pitt as an assistant coach, went to Oklahoma State, which is not an easy place to coach because you're in the shadow of Oklahoma there. He did very well there. I think he's a class act. And Miami's not an easy place to coach either. There's a lot of pressure, a lot of expectations down there.
And he always has to compete with Don Shula, who's in town, who has won. And next week, noise again, this time at Gainesville. It would be noisy. It's a good rivalry. Remember when Miami won the national title, they lost 1 game all year. It was at Gainesville early in the year.
All right, I want to put you on the spot about Vinny Testaverde. You did not pick him to win the Heisman Trophy. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Heisman hopefuls. Did Vinny help his chances tonight? We'll find out. We'll be back on the Hartwood. Bino Cook back here in the ESPN studios. Vinny Testaverde, you said he could really help his Heisman efforts if he got off to a good start tonight, but you didn't pick him to win the Heisman Trophy. You picked somebody else.
Yes, I picked Jim Harbaugh from Michigan, but Testaverde is now the player to beat. This is like 1970 when Jim Plunkett had the great game on ABC against Arkansas, 34-28. And 2 years ago, Doug Flutie threw 2,000 touchdown passes against North Carolina here in ESPN. And when those 2 players did that, they were the leaders. Testaverde is now the player to beat for the Heisman Trophy because he had an excellent game, 17 for 31, I think they said, in a touchdown. And the way he looked, poised, he's quite a quarterback.
All right, who are the top quarterbacks in the country right now?
Well, I would naturally Testaverde, and I would definitely say Kerwin Bell, definitely at Florida. He's very good. Mike Shula, I left out earlier. He is a candidate for the Heisman Trophy.
Now, you were hot on him for the Heisman about a week ago. You changed your mind.
Well, I decided to go with Harbaugh, and what makes me mad is I forgot to mention Shula's name. If college football were only the 4th quarter, Shula would win it.
Shula's tough.
He's quite a kid, quite a competitor. He's smart. He doesn't make mistakes. The genes are good, but it's going to be tough for him. The Southeast has 3 great quarterbacks, the section of the country, Bell, Shula, and Testaverde.
You mentioned Kerwin Bell at the University of Florida. Here's a guy who threw 3 touchdown passes in their game today. He's not...